TeamSpeak for that, and so I'm not going to do it.
Oh, no
Speaking
worries.
of which, you asked me last time, like, oh, could you turn down the music?
Yeah.
You have control over how you hear people.
Okay, so
So
I
if
need
I
to go
change
into...
it, it changes it for everybody. But if
But
you
I
change
need to
it,
be able to hear you.
so you just turn me up.
But you are... No, I need you to turn the music down for me. I have trouble hearing other people over the music.
Oh, right. See,
That's
weird
my
because
trouble.
the stream, it's really low. We'll bounce later. Hey, guys, we're just starting the Q&A stream for yesterday's shenanigans. Let me pull up my chat here. Pop out chat. So we're still doing a little bit of setup. Just take me a couple of seconds. Hi, Tabby.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Sipping coffee.
Yeah.
Rolling dice.
We were sipping
randomly.
coffee this morning, and we were talking about yesterday's campaign. We streamed episode... what session? That was like episode 5 for us and 1 for the stream, wasn't it? 5 or 6? Or was it 4?
I think it was 4. I've got it as 4 in my 2, 3.
Maybe.
Nope, you're right. It was 5.
Tex. So what is this Edge of the Empire thing, he says in chat?
I wonder.
I don't know. Tex, why don't you jump in with us? We're on Discord. You can help us with the Q&A. So let me go ahead and do the breakdown of what this is. So yesterday, we streamed our first live episode of Edge of the Empire, which is a tabletop... Let me grab the book. Tabletop role-playing game. I am not by any way sponsored. I just really enjoy it. Star Wars tabletop. Right, there you go. There's actually 3 books for this game. Edge of the Empire. What was the Rebellion one? I asked you this
Age of
yesterday,
Rebellion.
too. Age of Rebellion and Force and Destiny are the 3
then-
core rule books.
All of the supplemental books.
And then, yeah, like 1,000 supplemental books, which add more races and more items and more stuff, all kinds of stuff, and fun little rule sets that you can use. So that's what it is. So we're playing that, and we decided yesterday actually, to just stream it. Just stream the first episode.
Someone decided to make it work.
At the last minute, be like, you know what? Let's just stream it. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah, why
just do
not?
it.
Why not?
Let's do it. So without any there was a bit of prep for me. We just jumped into it, and I just jumped right into the story. I give a real quick briefing. I'm like, here's what happened over the last 5 episodes, and let's get right into it. We play using Tabletop Simulator, which is what you're seeing here. You're all loaded in, right? Oh yeah, because you're moving your character.
Me? Yeah, I'm good.
I'm moving you around.
Yeah, I know.
Hello. I'm zoomed in on your character. So we use Tabletop Simulator to help orchestrate this whole shenanigans because we can't play around an actual table because we all live in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Morning Cap. Oh, he's at work. He can't join us. Damn. So Tex can't join us. So, if you guys, can you play as an Ewok? Probably not. It depends on your GM.
Why not?
Why not? Because Ewoks, that's not like a race that's spacefaring. So
It's
they never leave
like
their
a
planet.
mini Wookiee. It's fine.
No.
Totally fine. Mini
No. I'm offended for all Wookiees out there. I'm offended for them. How dare you? They were supposed to be Wookiees. Like, that was the story.
I know.
The Ewoks were supposed to be Wookiees.
And then they
weren't.
left them in the dryer too long. I don't know.
Indeed.
fun.
What are the different dice? Somebody's asking. Let's see, who is that? But with different dice. Oh, yeah, it's like D&D with different dice.
Yep, we've got our force dice.
Oh, I can
Right
use
here.
Yeah, let me zoom in on the middle of the map. So, there's the force dice. So at the beginning of the game, in the episode that we did, we all had to roll force dice. And this was to figure out the destiny pool. And I had mentioned it, but I didn't really show it.
Yeah.
The reason... I should probably explain why the camera really doesn't move in the series before we get into this. So the reason you guys didn't see a lot of what was going on was because as the GM, I can't show my perspective. Now, I've already kind of cleaned up this hot mess that is my GM table, and this is cleaned up. And now the players can't see this, only I can see this. So if I was streaming this with all of my things out for the episode, for like all my story references and all that, it'd be a lot of spoilers that I don't think my players could get away from. Even if they couldn't see the stream or they promised they wouldn't look at the stream, there's still the chat for the stream, there's still people tweeting them and messaging them, and it would give away the plot bits for the audience because they'd see what's going on behind the table. I've got little health counters back here so they'd see like what people's health's at and like trying to throw them strategies, and that's not good. We don't want that. So that's why I have a secondary camera set up that is just looking at the table that doesn't show the GM screen. So that was going on there. But all right, so go ahead and roll the force die. So there's one dark
side.
Just like yesterday, all you can roll is dark side.
Oh, I know. No, I totally rolled light side yesterday once. That one time.
You took 2 conflict for rolling dark the whole time.
I took a conflict. I rolled dark side one. Yeah, I probably rolled it twice. But there was one time where I rolled light side.
Oh, when you used your force sense, I think. So, anyways, at the beginning of a campaign, all the players, including the GM, roll.
I rolled light side right there.
Die. There's my force die right there. You just rolled. I rolled a dark point, and then we figure out what the destiny pool is, and that's what I described in the first episode yesterday of a pool that we could all use to change the winds of fate, basically. Upgrade dice rolls to make them harder for enemies or easier for players. As a GM, I can flip the dark side ones to make things harder on them. So there's more rules to it than that, but that's kind of the basis. So if you're wondering what we were talking about with Destiny, that's it there. All right, so that's how we
Next
play.
type of dice. Ability dice.
She rolled white side to heal Cantios.
Ah, there we go. I rolled two dark side. I rolled dark side to heal myself, and then to foresee.
Yeah, yes, because you had to like fight through the fear. I remember
Yeah.
that. So that was pretty good. So let me grab the counterpoint to ability dice, which is difficulty dice. Boop. So there you go. So when we're rolling any type of challenge, right? So every character has skills. And this is how we roll those skills. The skill is represented by, actually it's the characteristic. Base characteristic is represented by the green dice.
So this right here would be the sum total of my brawn.
She's got 1 brawn.
This one right
she
here.
Gets 1 dice. And say she's trying to, what would be a single difficulty?
Trying to push over a table.
Trying to push over a table. Okay. This table is kind of heavy, so she's gotta roll for it. So she rolls, and she has 2 different icons that she can get. There are threats, and then there are failures. The triangles.
That's what you're rolling. What I'm rolling.
Yeah, you're rolling this one. I'm rolling this one as the GM.
So these are these will be the ones that cancel out. So I got an advantage. That's the little symbol here on the green dice, and then the threat.
I got a threat as the GM. So this cancels out.
Yep.
And the mechanics, basically, it's just rolling skill against the GM's perceived difficulty of the task. And so the crazier the plan is for the players, let's roll this again.
So this is a success.
Yeah.
So there's starburst is, woohoo, I win.
I succeeded at whatever I'm trying to do.
I shoved the table.
Whereas I'll say, you shoved the table, but you got a threat. So a threat modifies that success. So you shoved the table over, but in doing so, you kind of tripped over part of the table leg and fell out from cover. Or, I mean, it's only one threat. Yeah, that sounds
like something I would do.
Actually, for 1 threat, I'd probably say, while throwing over the table, it's quite heavy, and you strain yourself doing it, taking 1 strain, which is one of your 2 kind of like health pools back here we're using to represent these. And based on how you made your character, these pools can be varying sizes. So you can be somebody who can take a lot of damage, which would be your wound threshold, which would be considered red here.
Which would be Vic, yeah? Yeah, he's got 17.
Yeah, Vic's built up to take a lot of wound damage. That's like taking a blaster bolt to the chest. You'll take wound damage. Versus Strain, which is that it's easier to heal. You can just kind of take a breather after a battle, and you can get it back.
You say that, but it doesn't always happen.
It's based on a die roll. Based on your, what is it? Cool skill or...
Cool or discipline.
Discipline. Yeah.
So,
all right. So those are kind of some of the basics. At these, we can upgrade these difficulties. As a GM, I can set as many of these purples as I want to. If I feel like the thing that you guys are doing is particularly, really dangerous or has a chance of failing in a spectacular way, I will replace some of these purples with reds, which have something, so I can find it here. I'm not going to be able to find it on this die, am I? So I can't just roll it. But there is something called a despair on this, which means shit failed, and it failed terribly. Like, not only did you fall off of that speeder like you did in the episode, but this time you've landed on your neck, that kind of thing.
And now I've, internally decapitated myself.
So,
but the player alternative to the red dice is the yellow dice, the proficiency dice.
And these would be upgraded green dice. So for you guys who were wondering, I know we had a lot of questions about like the dice and how we were rolling. Those are the basics for the dice. There's also boost die and setback die.
I almost got it. If you look on the side here, there's a triumph.
There it is.
And that is that's the good version of despair. That's the really good stuff.
It's like you couldn't have done that thing better. In one instance, I think it was it Ranger who like shot a Tuscan's arm off that was holding his rifle and like blew it completely off.
Yeah. He's really good at shooting things.
He is really good at shooting things. That's Mandalorians for you. He's got all those weapon skills. So, if you guys have any questions about the campaign, about the game, feel free to leave them in the live chat now. But we're just gonna kind of sip our coffee, answer questions that you guys have, and hopefully kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on with this campaign and
We've
these
got one last
characters.
type of dice.
Oh, you want to look at the boost die in the...
Someone was asking about the dice.
Oh,
So we may as well show them all.
There we go. The two types of dice, the boost die, which the players have, and I can award, and then the setback dice.
Oh, that's all my boost dice rolls ever. Ever!
Don't feel bad. This is how I roll. Yep, that's how I roll setback dice. I so rarely ever get anything on these damn things. So these are awarded for, like, a setback dice would be, is it dark?
Man.
Is it raining? Is it hard to see what you're doing while you're trying to do a task? So if you're trying to, like, repair a speeder, it's one thing to do it in broad daylight in the middle of the day without any type of threat going on. It's another thing to be doing it while it's raining in the dark, where if it's raining, there's a 1 boost die, and it's in the dark, 2 setback die, making the task harder to do.
For certain characters.
For certain characters. Some skills, and you have some skills that do this. Will give you boost die. So what skills do you have that give you a boost die? I'm going to look at your skill sheet, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay, we're going to look at your skill sheet.
So the ones that give me a boost die to my dice pool are uncanny senses and uncanny reactions. So that'll give me a natural boost to perception and vigilance, I believe. No. Yes? Yes.
Perception, and you've got one for vigilance on your sheet.
Yeah.
So we use the character generator to make these, by the way. It's pretty fantastic. You can just load them right into Tabletop Simulator. It's freaking great. I notice on all of your knowledge checks, you've got a minus setback. Is that one of your traits?
It is. That is. I've got my sheet here.
Out of all the characters, she's the most educated.
Researcher. So I took a trait called Researcher. So I remove 1 setback from all knowledge checks.
Nice. I like it. If you guys are asking questions, make sure you put the word question in brackets so they're easier for us to pick up. And try to keep them on topic to what we're talking about here. And for today's normal video, it will be out later. Awakening of the Rebellion, I am going to record after this, and we'll have it up just a little bit later today. I noticed you've got some... I'm looking at your items now. Now I'm like all over your player space looking at your stuff.
I know.
Things that you picked up, the mysterious staff.
Yeah.
Robes.
So you made some of these cards. Or did you make all of them?
I know. I only made some of them. I made the mysterious staff for you. Because I don't like... The base loot in the game is like I see it as... the base a starting point for the game. Like that's the loot that they give you is the bare bones. Here's what a basic item looks like, and then it's up to the players or the GM rather to make interesting items for players to find. So like the boots that you found today. Nobody else took a close look at those. The boots of stealth. Give you a boost die to any stealth rolls where it's involved sneaking and moving at the same time.
Oh yeah, I haven't added that.
I saw the card for it too.
That's okay. I mean, you don't have to. I can just add
was
it
going to be all over that.
Nope.
With
He wanted to shoot stuff.
But he's like, you guys were so focused on the carbine.
Oh, goodness. I don't think he needs any help stealthing.
That carbine. What's his stealth at? Let's see. His stealth is 2 yellows and a green. That's not bad.
No, it isn't. I mean, he usually does really, really well. But sometimes he falls on his face in front of somebody wielding a vibro axe.
Or the time that he tried to stealth up on, and he stealthed up on the rat, and then when he got close to it,
he stumbled or something.
Yeah, he tripped. We had to do a roll.
Oh no, he missed. He missed with his dagger. That's why it knew he was there.
He stealth because that was when you told him to go stealth himself.
Yeah.
And so he's he rolls a triumph. So he's just like poof, He just ceases to exist. He is so stealthy. And then he goes to kill this rat, and he swings and misses a non-moving rat that was eating a corpse, a womp rat.
Yeah, that didn't know he was there.
And then he trips over when he does that, and he's looking face to face with this womp rat. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So good. Let's see. Could someone be a former Imperial? Totally mind games. I mean, it's up to your GM, of course, depending on the kind of campaign he wants to run. But like for me, I would totally, for one of my campaigns, have an ex-Imperial pilot. I said a rule: no active Imperial agents or characters. And my other table rule was you have to make a character that's willing to stay with the group. They don't want to have to constantly fight your character on doing things. You have to be an adventurer like everybody else and want to go on these, like want to stick together with the team. Because if you wander off, you're just off the map and off the grid for us, and you won't be playing anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you should show them your little data pad you made.
The data pad?
Move my stuff.
I'm gonna pull it up on the table if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the things
gotta unlock it.
So one of the things that I love about Tabletop Simulator is if you make PNGs files, you can import them into the game, and you can actually make items with them. So like this right here, we made a data pad that the players had found in a cave that had a couple of bodies in it. And this is during the whole incident with the rat. They ended up fighting what we called the Rat King, which was a very large womp rat, a massive womp rat at the end of it. And it was kind of my attempt to learn how to GM, learn how combat works. That's one of the reasons why we started off on like episode 5. We didn't want to
figuring things out.
Yeah, like episode 1 was rough with just like, let's figure out game mechanics and sift through the books a bunch.
And what does this ability mean? And what does that ability mean? And how do I roll these dice?
How do I shoot? How do I transform these dice into narrative? Like, what does it mean when somebody gets one success and 4 advantages? Or like, I just rolled a triumph. There you go. Like, what does that mean narratively? And that took a while to kind of figure out and get our heads around, and then figure out my GM style. So if you guys wondering, like, why did we start so randomly in like episode 5? It's very confusing for the audience. We didn't know what we were doing. And we wanted to make sure we were enjoying the game first before we tried to bring other people into the experience.
Not only was it learning the game like you'd play at a tabletop, we were learning Tabletop Simulator as well, and what we could and couldn't do in here, and a lot of stuff.
Tim asks, I don't think I understand the question. Can you give out the table book after this game is over? The table book. Oh, are you like the rules, like the house rules for the book, for the team, or for you have to specify, Tim, because like there are some house rules that we're running by, some things that we've shifted and changed, and some things that we're still continuing to change, and that fit our play style and the kind of story that I'm interested in telling. So the fun part of this is, and I keep saying like the story I'm interested in telling. Every single episode is guided by, this is why I love this so much, the actions of the players. Where they're at and what they're doing right now was completely and utterly up to them. They have 5 or 6 different like running stuff going on that they could have done. That I had pre-thought, like, okay, what would the players do? They could do, and I came up with 5 different things, and those are just the 5 things I thought of. And yet, here we are. We're doing something they chose. And every episode changes the next episode, changes the next one. So this is completely homebrew. Yeah, homebrew campaign. It's not like it's totally just our own plot and the decisions they make.
And sometimes we lose it, but that's okay. We find it again.
Indeed. I remember when you met the Jawa, the sand crawler that was damaged, and you guys helped them fix it.
We
you
met
Unti, their leader.
I got notes about Unti.
Uti for days. Uti was fun.
So many notes. And the soup that the Jawas made.
And the soup, the delicious soup. We got some questions coming in now. And so you guys were actually talking about going with the Jawas, and I was like, you can totally do that, but it's gonna be like a 6-month trip to Mos Eisley, and they're gonna be stopping, and they're going to be going through salvage, and they're going to be doing what Jawas do. It's like, you could do it. It's gonna be a long time though. So it's fun. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous and fun. And I really thought you guys were going to try to talk the Jawas into coming with you back to Mos Take to help defend that city. And you guys were just like, you made all these great moments with them, and then you were like, all right guys, peace, and you left.
Bye.
I was like, okay. All right, we got some questions coming in.
Yeah.
Is this only on Tabletop Simulator? Mind games? No. The only way to play this, like the only thing that you honestly need to play this is the book. You need the core book. Everything else is extra, and you only
like
need one of
some
these core
people.
books. And people. You do require people. This would be very difficult to play by yourself. Though the book is a good read. There's a lot of cool lore stuff in there.
Yeah.
I think I'd recommend the Awakening of the Rebellion. Got that on my brain now.
Age of Rebellion?
Age of Rebellion. Thank you. Too many rebellions. As the book that I would buy, because I think it has the most,
it's the middle book.
Stuff. It's the middle book. If you're not going full force sensitives.
Edge of the Empire was the first book. Age was the second. Force and Destiny was the third of the core rule books, yeah?
I think that's the order they came out, yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of the middle book. It's got some more refined things going on.
There's other stuff. If you want, as a GM, if you want quick references, some of the things that I use, there's these cards that you could pick up, and there you can find these online, or you can just find like player-made versions of these, and all they are just kind of character profiles that have health and damage and weapons and loot on them. So if your players go totally off the rails and decide that they want to go punch that stormtrooper in the face instead of going and talking to the person you thought they were going to talk to, you can quickly reach over to a stack of cards, pull out the stormtrooper card, and have all of the stats of a basic stormtrooper or a stormtrooper squad leader or an officer. So these are fun, but not really necessary because the books come with all of the character stuff in them. You just note them down for your campaign. So Shaq loses focus all the time. He's like a squirrel. Yep.
That's okay. So are we.
So let's see. We have other questions coming in. We got a bunch of questions. Is this only on Tabletop Simulator? We answered that. Mind games. This is just our way of playing. There's also Roll20 that you can use to play this if you're trying to play online with friends. There's a couple of other pieces of software you can use. I don't remember off the top of my head.
This isn't a Tabletop Simulator game that you can is all set up. You set this up.
Yeah, this is just props and easy things to use. Roll20 does everything this does. This just has physics. I can roll dice and actually roll them on the table, that kind of fun thing. So, let's see. Is there Tabletop Simulator? How hard is it to set up these campaigns? Because I have Tabletop Simulator, but I have never even installed it. Well, it's nothing to do with Tabletop Simulator so much as just GMing a game. When I play,
to remember.
Yeah, and
it's plan.
I prep a lot. But if you're not going to do a homebrew game and you do one of their pre-mades, and there's lots of player-made pre-mades out there, there's ones come out of the books, then it's as much work as you want to put into it. I make everything from scratch, so I spend a good day and a half working on this because I enjoy it. So, and then Tabletop Simulator, you can use these kind of pre-made tables that have a lot of assets if you want to put them out on the table. You don't even need maps to play this. You can keep it all theater of the mind if you want to. I pull out maps sometimes when I want to say, okay, the terrain is like this, and I want you guys to understand it, and I have a map that's perfect for it. But we've done combat engagements where we've had no map, haven't we?
Oh yeah, the second one with the Tuscans, where Cantio stealthed up the side of a bantha.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hit the broadside of that bantha. So
you
that one
missed the ass end of a bantha.
Yep.
That was an easy roll too. It was one purple.
I know. Totally missed.
Let's see. I'm a cosplayer, so I could add my own image in Emulator. Totally. So this is what's awesome about Emulator. And this is for any game. You can go over to figurines, right? Go to figurines, and you can go to custom figure, and then you can import an image into it, which we've already done, and that's why Cree has her own little icon right here.
I did not draw that.
No, I mean this is from Edge of the Empire, I believe. I think that's where that image is from. Because I found it on Google. I just went to Google Images and I just started cutting stuff out in Photoshop if I needed something. And a lot of these are already there. There's already lots of PNGs of different races and characters. So just find what you want to use. The wanted posters. I mean, I made those in a wanted poster generator. Where are those?
Ranger had them.
Yeah. Oh, he made them super tiny. So I made these guys. It took me all of 10 minutes. Yeah. No, they're not real. Wanted posters. Let's see. How hard is it to set up campaigns? We already answered that. Thanks, HP. Jacob. Already answered yours about importing images, and you can do different sizes. Question from Anthony. How are you doing leveling, and could you do it on stream, please? Thank you. You want to explain leveling?
Well, there's a few different ways you can take your experience and use it. You can upgrade your skills. So, I know mine is blanked out. But you can, if you've got your charm skill, let's say Vic here has 2 green, so he's got 2 green dice for his charm skill. He's not very charming, but
None of you
work
guys
on that. So you could use that XP to upgrade it to a yellow,
Just got a skill
and that
point,
would
so it's
be
upgrade.
one. I'm not charming either. I've got the exact same score.
None of
So
you are. You don't have a face match this whole group.
We're real bad. You could also put that into traits, which you can see my stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so I can just show it on mine. So you can put it into talents. So you can see on mine, I've got Quick Draw, I've got Respected Scholar, and there's talent trees that you can put things into, and it'll give you different stuff.
Different bonuses, yeah.
Bonuses, thank you.
Quick
That's
Draw
the
is a
word.
great one where it's not like a stat thing. It doesn't add to your dice rolls, but it allows you to pull a weapon out faster, so you don't have to use a maneuver.
Or
It's
put
just
it away.
incidental. So, and can we do this online? No, we're not going to be doing that on stream because it's up to the players to do it. We might talk about things.
That would take, like, we debate endlessly what we should do with our experience.
The messages I get.
Endlessly.
I don't know what to do. 2 of you didn't put experience into your characters until like 10 minutes, like finally choosing 10 minutes before the stream started.
Yeah. So.
I was getting character sheets.
That's endless process. And then you've also I've got force powers.
Should I do this?
So you can purchase new powers, you can upgrade your existing powers. There's lots of stuff you can do with the XP. So it's a little overwhelming to sit there and kind of do that.
Yeah, unlike D&D, you can choose a lot. You can almost like multi-classing as many times as you want. You can just start, you can buy into those, but you're using a lot of experience to do that.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff though. You can go kind of ham with it.
Yeah, if you look at mine, I'm my career is colonist. My specialization is scholar, but I wanted to be force sensitive, so I purchased with some of the starting experience the force sensitive exile talent tree, and that gave me my force abilities.
Yep. So
or the potential to have force abilities, because then I had to go and purchase the actual ability with more experience. So
yeah, we got some fun characters. We've got you've got force. You're force sensitive. We've also got Cantios, who's force sensitive, and you guys are kind of coming to terms.
But he
with that
doesn't know it yet.
He doesn't know it. Well, you don't really know what it is either. I mean,
I don't either. I just kind of do
just
stuff.
figuring it out. You just figured out that you could heal people with one of your abilities, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Or Kree did. Kree. All right. Let's see. What other questions we have? Question that was about leveling. Yep. Scrolling down. I don't want to miss any of them. Des Prime. Kind of off topic. We do more life as feudal. Yes, probably. We're doing an event Friday, actually. Question: how did you get the maps and stuff on Tabletop Simulator? So the way you do it is, if you want just like a table like this, and you don't want anything hidden from a player, you go to Options or Objects, go to Components, go to boards. The thing you see underneath it, the Tatooine map underneath it, is actually a board. The thing on top of it is a custom. I want to say it's a custom tile. Once you've made the custom tile, it'll pop up. Put the URL for the image. I will grab an image real fast. Let's say we want an image of, let's see, a YT 1300 floor plan. Because we're going to have a firefight on a YT 1300. Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
that sounds legit.
All of a sudden, everybody was like, let's get into a firefight. There was a firefight. And then import. And it'll end up being super tiny, but you can use the plus keys and the minus keys on your keyboard to blow this up as big as you want. And suddenly, you've now got... I'm just going to push stuff out of the way with this. Yay, physics.
Mm-hmm.
You've suddenly got... There's too much crap on this table.
I've got all my stuff.
you've now got a map. And this is just what I just grabbed right off of Google, right? So it took me all of 10 seconds to do. It's not a very, it's not a great one, but it's not bad. There are other floor plans for all kinds of ships too. So now you've got just an area for your characters to be able to say, okay, I want to move here, and I want to fire down this way over the table and at that stormtrooper that's boarding the ship. I want to run over to the engine room, and I want to start making repairs on the hyperdrive because those TIE fighters just disabled it. So that, fun times. That's how you do it. If I wanted to join you, what would be required? Sorry, Jacob. We've got a pretty full group right now. We're not bringing anybody else into the campaign.
It is difficult to schedule as it is.
Yeah, it took us a month to get everybody on the right schedule. Question, would a large epic in Edge of the Empire universe involving the community interest you? I've actually thought about ways to involve the community in fun, craziness. I'm still kind of working out the details on it. I was thinking of a mass combat system would be fun with characters that could sign up, and we could just do a GM running a giant battle with the largest group of Edge of the Empire has ever been run. Try to go for a record, but I don't know. That would be really difficult, and it would take some mechanics. I'm not sure how it would work. Good GMing yesterday's Shack, considering many directions that the characters could have taken. Oh, thank you. I'm figuring it out. I'm totally new to this.
You basically have to plan half a dozen different routes we could potentially take, and then we could still come up with something that's different.
Yep.
Well, if we pool our resources, we can leave this dust ball. Let's do that.
Oh, okay. You guys are leaving? What planet are you going to?
I don't know. What's the cheapest ticket?
And that's what you have to deal with as a GM. If you want the game to be super open and you don't want to feel like you're railroading players, I think that's really, really important, that the players have their own choices.
And that's also how you get
decisions.
your GM to sit in a corner rocking and crying.
All right, this hyperspace trip is going to take at least 10 minutes of wiki research. Give me a minute.
10 of them.
10 of them. Go ahead and take your break now. I don't know what's happening anymore. Oh, man. So much fun. I mean, it's the GM's job, too, to keep interesting things that the players are going to want to pursue in front of them, so you can kind of have some idea where they would want to go. At least that's how I think it is. But some directions. Oh, man. Questions. How do you buy a ship? Rex
credits?
Noob wants to know. Potentially, yeah, with credits. I mean, you kind of saw that in the last episode, if you watch episode 1. I know we opened with a lot of the shopping and negotiation, but the players had been really looking forward to getting into a real city for a while. And they decided to buy, let me find the card.
Vic should have it.
There it is, yep. They decided to buy a custom vehicle that I made, actually, the Bantha 1. There's a Bantha 2 already from one of the source books, but I made the Bantha 1 a little bit smaller, cut-down version of that. You guys had a choice of a lot of different vehicles with a lot of pluses and minuses. I'm a little surprised you went with this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your
the
character's
name.
like vehicles, bruh.
As long as it gets me
Don't
from point A to
care.
point B with minimal falling out, I'm
Don't
good.
care. Yep. Well, that's interesting that you say minimum falling out since you took the open top one with no seatbelts
Yeah.
and proceeded to fall out of it once already.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Just
great.
once, though.
Just once. But
No,
that's
I think
basically
that
how they
one
do it.
would allow the most ease of shooting things that are following us for those of us who can shoot.
That's true. The open top means that you guys can do, unlike any of the other vehicles, this one was the one that you could potentially do stuff as characters against anything that would be coming at you.
Yeah.
And it was the cheapest too, so I'll give you that. But you could see them wheeling and dealing and going through buying a vehicle.
Yeah,
you could
such
do
as
that
it was.
potentially with ships. You could potentially pirate a ship. You could whatever makes sense in the universe. A player can do or players can do. The problem,
There will be
is-
consequences.
yeah, there's consequences for all actions, right? You buy that ship that's super cheap, and there could be hidden flaws in it that you don't know about. I actually have a chart to roll on for that. That lower the price of the ship, but also take on interesting characteristics.
Interesting for you, maybe.
I think interesting for everybody. Interesting
It's
doesn't have
true.
to mean good. So that's how you buy a ship, Rec Noob. That would be one of the ways. There's narrative ways to get a ship, all kinds of stuff. So it's up to the players how do the player want to go about it is the question. Off topic, how far are you on Critical Role? #critters.
Not far enough.
Asking? Not far enough. 50
7?
something? 7?
57? 58?
We watched through Hope, and I know that was in there somewhere. So
yeah,
I don't know what episode we're on, but we're getting there. We're gonna watch it through until the new season starts up. Let's see. Are you interested in Star Wars Legion? Maybe. I haven't really looked into it.
What's that?
Star Wars Legion, I believe, is another type of board game, but it's more strategy based, I think.
Oh.
I haven't really looked into it.
I'm really bad at strategy. Just saying.
Awakening of the Rebellion is coming out today, Reed. Thank you for asking. That's coming up soon. When will you betray the Rebel Alliance and join the Glorious Empire? That's a player question, I guess.
Considering most of us are aliens, I'm pretty sure the Empire won't have us as anything other than slaves. So really not looking forward to that.
If that's where the story goes, that would be a really weird transition.
Yeah.
Especially for what you guys are. Like,
yeah.
The group as it is. That'd be a tough one.
Would be really weird. What's that one joke? I wouldn't join any club that would have me.
Fair enough. I like it. Question from Roland is, hey Captain, how are you guys enjoying the narrative system? What do you think of it so far?
I think it's a lot of fun.
Let's talk about the dice, by the way. The narrative system is really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I slid down that little rock slide thing. I'm having trouble with nouns right now. Like a badass with my staff, and I didn't fall on my face. So, the dice have been kind to me so far.
I couldn't believe you made it.
I know,
right?
right?
Surprised because your coordination is crap. Even if it was only like an 8-foot drop, you were just slid right down it, hauled ass across the way,
That's
got into
not me.
short range. I know because your icon's gone.
Where'd you put it?
I don't know where I put it. I probably chucked it on accident.
Oh, I always get lost.
I thought you grabbed it.
No, you were the one messing around with it. But anyways.
We didn't save it, so it's fine. I think I've got a backup somewhere.
Yeah. Because this has happened before.
But as for the narrative system, I love it. As a GM, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
For the little bit of experience that I have with D&D, this gives an opportunity to have successes, but successes with a but attached to them. So you can have you can roll and you can have, sure, you succeeded at doing the thing that you wanted to do, but you also gained 5 threat, meaning that it puts you in a precarious position of some kind or another. So there's always a caveat if you get a lot of threat. Or, not only did you do the thing, but you did it amazingly well with like 6 advantages. So when you did that, you put yourself in a better position, or you helped an ally, or you hindered an enemy.
You could totally fail and still have a positive outcome. So when I couldn't hit the broadside of a bantha butt, I still distracted the rider of said bantha so Cantios could stealth up the side of the bantha.
You gave him that extra
It was a weird
boost die
situation.
that helped him get up that, so the rider didn't notice. The bantha didn't notice, but the bantha was trying to kill some poor guard.
Yeah.
For Epic, I'm coming from a D&D 5e convention. You have a single one-shot story with several GMs, and each group affects the other. But if it doesn't interest you, I could help design. Oh, I get what you're saying. You're talking about like one of those big. So this is D-Hoff. He asked about doing like an epic, large community thing.
Yeah.
I would need more experience GMing before I ever thought about doing something like that, because that's multiple GMs, multiple groups, all working within the same narrative, changing the outcome of like a battle, or that
sounds like a lot going on.
JPack says, "Hey Tabby, hey Shaq."
Hi.
Rack Noob wants to know if we're gonna play Skyrim together when the multiplayer comes out.
When it comes out, yeah.
So pumped. I want it so bad.
This one will travel with a wizard for a while.
community one-shot with pre-gen characters sometime, maybe? Matthew wants to know. Would you do a one-shot with just some pre-gens?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
That's what he's asking if we would do it. Oh, with community members. Okay, so we'd
Yeah, I didn't think it was me. I'm not actually a part of anything.
community one-shot. I mean, you'd be with it too. Why not? You're a community member. Right?
Am I? I think I am.
I think so.
Kind of. Every
Mostly.
once in a while.
You're the Discord trolling all the time.
Yeah, I'm usually set to invisible.
She's watching you all the time. All the time. Failing spectacularly is always an option in the system as it's succeeding yet failing. Yep. Totally. Oh, there's the despair. I finally rolled it. So there you go.
Yay!
That's the despair symbol. That is the like, oh man, I screwed up real bad. And even if you get a success, that still affects your success in some way.
So did we roll a despair when Vic was fixing that land speeder? Was that why the droid head was like welded to the dash?
No, that particular one was just a lot of threat.
Oh, okay.
That's why it was such a difficult. If he had rolled a despair, that droid wouldn't be running anymore. That was what's going to happen. So the droid head. So C9. I should probably explain that. You guys probably were really confused by that.
It's okay. We were still pretty confused, and we did it.
And they did it. When they met the Jawas, they didn't speak the same language, right? Jawas, they're fresh to Tatooine. They didn't understand what the Jawas were saying, other than lots of pointing and jumping around.
But no shooting.
Got pretty far with that.
No shooting.
No shooting. Nobody killed anybody. Luckily, the way you guys handled that, the Jawas were gonna fire at you guys if you had gone in all aggressive and whatnot. But you handled it really well. And they ask the Jawas, "Do you have a droid that could translate?" And the Jawa's like, "Yeah." He runs off. He comes back with nothing but a protocol droid's head.
Yep.
And hands it to Vic, who's the mechanic. Now Vic's mechanic skills are through the roof, and he decides, surprisingly, to take the droid head. And I thought maybe you'd hook it to like one of the energy capacitor reload things that Ranger has, or maybe you would just store it for later. No, you hotwired it into the speeder that you have.
Yep.
And put him on the dashboard. So now you've got just a talking head with droid.
Mm-hmm.
And then later decided to put it on like a turntable that he could control with a motor so he could turn the head.
Yeah.
He still only has one working eye, and the other one's like constantly flashing and like blinking at people. It's terrible in every way.
Yeah. It was pretty
Terrible
awesome.
in every way.
It was amazing. And he got through so much threat that it like welded itself in there, and taking it out would have potentially destroyed one or the other.
Exactly. So when he rolled to take the droid head off in the last episode, I upgraded the crap out of that difficulty roll to see if it would break the speeder or break the droid head. And he's got so much mechanics and the roll was so bad for me as a GM, the difficulty roll, that he was able to take it out without any issue. So lucky you guys. You still have a head of a droid, whatever you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe
he
we'll
wants to
chuck
build
it
a
at
body
somebody.
for it, so just a weapon. Put a battery on it so it screams at people as you check it. That'd be
Light ranged.
light range, like a grenade. Light range. I love it. Man, Shaq, why don't you do more with rolled threat? Like when Tabby used the Force, giving her a strain. Last stream, she had 2 rolls with threat that didn't amount to much. My rolls were terrible. So as I'm rolling for threat back here, they're real bad. And I'd like to do more with it. I have to get more threat to do it, though. If it's just 1 threat, at most, you're probably going to gain some strain. It might put you in... it depends on what they're doing, really. It may just make something take longer. If you roll a bunch, and we did some stuff with threat, like that speeder that exploded, right?
Yeah.
That was a bunch of threat. When I think it was Ranger took the shot, the speeder, the gang member was running away. He took the shot. The reason that that bike exploded was because of how much threat they generated. There was no loot to be had, and there would have been loot had they not taken so much threat. Weaponized protocol droid head. Oh god, now you've got Tex thinking about it.
My job here is complete.
Does Tabby have her own YouTube channel?
Nope.
Rec Noob wants to know how stats work. How do stats work?
I'm
looking at your sheet.
Oh, yeah. So if you look at the very first little stat there, brawn, I have 1. And
Yep.
then if you go down to my abilities, you'll see that brawl is a brawn check, and I have 1 dice.
Combat skills. 1 dice, 1 brawn.
1.
So your
1
natural
brawn.
ability at brawn
Is
or brawl
1.
is 1 green dice.
Yeah.
Boop. So she gets to roll this. Now, if you're trying to punch somebody in like a fist fight,
It's gonna be bad.
it's got to be 2 purples to attempt to land that blow in melee combat. So 2
Well,
purple
that's
dice to roll
brawl.
against.
It's not melee.
Or, well, I meant melee is like
I'm
the
better
general
at
combat.
melee. But if we're looking at this, it's a different thing.
Fair enough. So if you're in somebody's face and you're trying to land a weapon or a fist, it's 2 purples to roll against, and she only has 1 green. So you can understand that's going to be really hard to make that roll. So, but that's not
More
the
than likely, it's
characteristics
going to
work.
be blank.
Yep. Because that's
But then
how
if you
it
check
works.
my intellect, my character's really smart. So I've got 4. And then, what is it? The max you can have on character generation is 5?
On character generation, yeah, I think it's 5. It's been
Yeah,
a while since
yeah.
you guys made
Characteristics
characters.
can't be raised above 5 during creation. 6 is the cap for any characteristic.
Yeah, 6 is the max cap.
So.
And there you go. And then you upgrade skills to give yourself yellow dice instead of just green, which is pretty sweet. And there's some other rules there, but that's the basics.
Yeah.
For other stats, you've got wound threshold and strain. You want to explain how those work?
Wound, if you'd stop moving my dice around, is 10 plus your brawn. So that's why I've got 11.
Yeah.
And strain is 10 plus willpower.
So wound, of course, is how much health you've got. Once you've reached your maximum wound,
Yeah.
you go unconscious
Die.
as a player.
Bleh.
The way we'll talk about death in a minute, because I know people are kind of curious and like, how do characters die? Because death is really important, because death makes things matter, right? So so strain, we can talk about strain.
What do you want to talk about strain?
What does it do? They wanted to know
well,
about stats.
the stun weapons will do strain damage, so that will just make you fall unconscious. It's kind of like, being tasered.
Yeah.
You can also use strain to do things like if you get threat, it can cause you to be under stress, and that increases your strain.
Like
You
our
can
example
take
with flipping the table.
Yeah.
You take one, if you have a threat, the GM can say, okay, throwing that table over caused you to use a little bit of strain, and you take one of those points.
Yeah.
And it's easier to heal too.
Yeah. One night's rest will completely wipe your strain.
Yeah.
What else? What else is strain? I don't know.
Warning, HP differentiates between species. Wookiees have more basic HP plus brawn than 10. Yeah, there's different rules for the different species. We're kind of doing a broad overview. I mean, we're not going to give all the rules because, one, I don't have them all in my head, especially for character creation, and two, that's what
And
the
all the
rulebook is
species
for.
have different... I mean, if you look at the different species, you'll see different starting stats. So if you look at my brawn versus Vic's brawn, I mean...
Yeah, he starts with 3. Or you put a point in there. I don't know if you put a point in there. But
Yeah, I don't know.
just straight 2s across the board when it comes to characteristics are average. That's like your basic human has all 2s. And then there are some like different versions of human. I think Carillion has some different stats there, some different skills, and Mandalorian I think have some different stats.
And they'll
as well,
have different
but-
career skills.
Yeah, they'll
So,
change their stuff.
The skills that are easier or less expensive experience point wise to increase are your career skills. So if you see the little green check marks next to things, those denote the skills that are easier for that particular character to upgrade.
So there you go. Well, soak would probably be the next stat on here that people are curious about.
That's like your armor. So if you
Basically,
want to talk about soak, look over at rangers.
Yeah, we're talking about people who focused on soak. Ranger in his swanky armor. That's what he spent
So
all his
that'll
money
be
on.
your armor, and that'll reduce the amount of damage you take when
So, for
people
example-
shoot at you.
In the last episode,
Tabby.
he took a couple of blaster bolts to the chest. He should have taken a point of damage for that. Oh, he did.
He did.
Okay, yeah. So he took a bunch of blaster bolts. The armor, though, most of them missed one, clipped him, and the reason being, he's got a lot of soak. So it was 6 damage for the shot from a basic pistol. It was a really shitty roll on the side of the swoop gang member who fired at him. But he only did 6 damage, base damage with the weapon. Well, he's got 5 soak, so in the end, his armor absorbed 5 out of the 6 points of damage, and he only took 1 point of actual damage. So that's what soak means. That means that you're, the
It's
what
your
you're wearing
armor
really
plus
does
your
matter.
brawn, I think. That's how I ended
Yeah.
up with 2.
I know bronze mixed in there on how to compute it somewhere.
I think that's it.
That sounds like character stuff to me.
Yeah.
Character stuff, I don't know. I think that's basically... Oh, defense would be the other one. That would be the last statistic.
Yeah, certain abilities, certain talents will give you defensive bonuses, either melee or ranged. Certain items will give you defensive bonuses.
Like Ranger's
like
armor.
my mysterious staff.
Yeah, the mysterious staff. So that's a thing. If you're wearing armor, this is the idea that the armor kind of allows the round to ping off if it hits it at an angle. Part of the story. What this really means is that if you have rounds coming at you and you have defense, you get the person rolling to shoot you has to take a certain number of setback dice based on the defense.
And those black dice.
Those black dice, meaning it's hard. It basically just means you're harder to hit. That's why he is so tanky. I would say Ranger is probably the tankiest person, even though Vic has the most health. It's not really about how much health you have. It's more about your soak and your defense. So I'd say Ranger.
I have neither one.
You have neither. I don't think Cantios has anything either when it comes to defense, compared to the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 2 soak and no defense unless you equip your staff.
Yeah.
But then you get 2 defense on both of those, which is pretty good. Cantios has 3 soak, so he's barely better than you that way. He's got more wounds than you. He's got 1 defense for melee and ranged, so kind of interesting. I love how you guys built your characters. You're so different.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got concealing robes, so these will make it so it's harder for someone to identify who she is if she's got her hood up. It also gives her just 1 soak, though, so she's kind of taking a setback to that. It's more damage that she'll end up taking. I don't know what Vic's wearing. I think he's wearing mechanics clothes.
Yeah, he's got his mechanics.
Coveralls. Yeah, so. Let's see, questions. Will this be a weekly thing, or are you guys going to be playing at random? Well, we are going to be doing a weekly thing. One of the things we wanted to announce on this stream is that Wednesday will be the next episode, because some of our members aren't going to be around for the normal Monday. And then we're going to go back to Mondays. So this will always be on Mondays outside of next week, which will be Wednesday. And we're going to bump
Outside
Skyrim.
of the times where it needs to be on different days. So the 6th is our next one.
Yeah.
December 6th.
December 6th will be the next episode of Welcome to the Rim. And we are going to take Skyrim, and we're going to actually have it earlier in the week. We're going to have that on Monday. So I'm going to be streaming Skyrim on the 4th instead of this. So that's the plan going for right now for just next week. But for future reference, if you're watching this in the future as a VOD, Mondays. It should be every Monday, unless we have to change it.
Unless something changes, in which case,
Unless, in the case, I'm just lying to you now.
We are made of lies.
That might be a thing. All right, what else do we have here? So,
Although we would probably not do it on the 25th of December, which is, Christmas. That's a Monday. So, don't plan for that.
yeah, that's not going to be a thing. We're not streaming this on Christmas. We're going to be enjoying the holidays.
Yep.
Opening presents. We won't even be here. Let's see. Got any more questions from you guys? Is there anything that we wanted to bring up? I know we were talking about it over coffee.
Oh, we talk about so many things over coffee.
Question came in. Do fish people resist drowning? Moncals is probably what everybody thinks of when they think fish people. There's actually a few amphibious races.
I think
and
I've
yes,
got
they do.
the Nautilans in my book here.
Well, I already know. I'm pretty sure Moncals can breathe underwater, and so can a few of the other races. So,
Yeah, I've got
your race has a special thing too for vacuums, right? Because you're wearing the rebreather mask always.
Oh, yeah. So yes, amphibious. can breathe underwater without penalty, and never suffer movement penalties traveling through water. So, the races you play will have different abilities. Yeah, the Keldor are, they have to wear the dark glasses, they've got to wear the rebreathers, but because they wear the glasses, the rebreathers, and the really, like, tough skin, they can survive in the vacuum of space for a few minutes, so that's kind of cool.
And if it's combat, a few minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Because that's not even between when you start suffocating and having issues, because there is a certain amount of time before that becomes a problem. A certain amount of rounds, basically. There's a whole rule set for it. Speaking of abilities, Vic, the Basilisk, because he has 2 sets of arms, he gets a free maneuver. Because normally you have to, if you get one maneuver, you get one action. An action would be like firing a weapon, applying bandages, doing an action, something that you're like opening a door. But because he's a Basilisk and he has extra arms, he gets a free maneuver where he doesn't have to spend strain to take the second. Because you can get up to 2 maneuvers in a turn. But normally you have to sacrifice some of your strain to do it. You're pushing yourself beyond its normal limits, and you get that second maneuver. You get to sprint twice as far. You get to, pull that extra weapon out. You get to take aim. Those kind of things are maneuvers. There's a list of them. If you're playing this and you got the rulebook, you can look through the list of what counts as a maneuver and what counts as an action. But he gets, for a species thing, he gets it free. So you'll notice him taking lots of second maneuvers.
Without taking strain. Where the rest of us have to go to our little counters.
OP.
I love these little counters.
That's pretty neat. Oh yeah, the counters are great. I have 4 of them on my table. And in our the episode before last, I had 8 of these to keep track of. Because that's how crazy that battle was.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty nuts. Let's see. I don't think Ranger gets any special stuff. Other than, like, more weapon career skills because he's a Mando.
Yeah, I don't know what the Mandos get. I don't have that in front of me.
I had that one. Which source book is the Basilisk in? He's in the, mechanics book. Special modifications.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the one. Now I'm thinking about it. This campaign has hyped up my Star Wars love. And I like to add in, I don't know if players have noticed, but I like to add in lots of little bits of Star Wars lore. So one of the ones that, I don't know if any of the players even noticed, but they enjoyed it, was they were fighting a Tusken who was on the back of a Bantha, and they killed the rider, but the Bantha was fine. And the Bantha grabbed its rider and ran off. And they were like, oh, that's really cute. And it's like, well, one of the bits of the lore for the Tuskens is they are raised with their Bantha from, like as a child up to adulthood. So it's like a special connection supposedly with them. That's part of the lore. So that's what he would do. That's what I figured that they would, that's how that would go.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of little things like that.
I kind of liked it because that Bantha was going to be hard to kill.
Oh my god, yes. That thing had so much health and so much soak.
Yeah.
You guys would have to come up with some serious plans for that one. But instead, you knifed the rider by stealthing up the back of the Bantha. Freaking Cantios. That was such good rolls. So good idea. I love it.
Yeah.
So question. How do prosthetics work?
Cybernetics. There is a whole section on replacing arms, legs, eyes with cybernetics and prosthetics. So we haven't gotten into that too much.
The biggest thing that you can get out of it is that it can give you bonuses to charisma or characteristics. It's one of the only ways to raise your characteristics once you've made your character. You can't do it after the fact. So keep that in mind if you're ever playing this.
Outside
you're making a character.
of like all the way at the bottom of your talent tree.
Yeah, there'll be like one talent that'll give you 1 point in something.
Yeah.
But normally, for the most part, you're not changing your characteristics, and they're really important. So character creation, keep that in mind.
And cybernetics are expensive, as well they should be, because they can increase your characteristics.
It's true. What else? Let's talk about death. That's always a topic people want to know about.
Yeah. We've
How do you
had
die?
critical injuries
There's
for
even
players.
a little bit of your sheet for it. Critical injury
Yeah.
results. Yep. So
We've had 1 critical injury so far.
almost lost Cantios. That could have been a lot. That could have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
That vibro blade. Vibro weapons are just nasty. They're
Yeah,
terrible.
they've
The
got
word
what,
would be
vicious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vicious. So the way that death works, do you have a D100?
No,
Or do
I
you
got a
have
D10.
You got 2 D10s? Where are they at?
I've got one D10 sitting out. I can put another one out.
I'll just make one. So the way that we do it,
fine then.
you roll a dice, a D100. So you get a number between, obviously, 1 and 100. So the way that we do it is that we roll 2 of these suckers, and we read them left to right. So just rolled, ouch. Just rolled, oh crap.
What'd you do? Stop
I
doing
hit
that.
Q because I thought it would rotate
57.
it, but it totally didn't. 57. So what we do is we look at a chart. So you just take it a critical hit, and critical hits are based on certain rolls. You can hit them with a critical if you get a certain number of advantages on a roll, or if you get a triumph, that means you could totally use that as a critical. Criticals are nasty. Anything above 150 instantly kills the person that you're attacking, so if you get hit, and you get hit with a vicious weapon, vicious weapons make hits much more deadly. They actually add 10 points to this roll per level of vicious.
Level of vicious. I can't find it.
What can't you find? The criticals list?
Yeah, I want to know what that critical would have been.
Let's see. I think I've got it marked in here. Criticals. So you look at the chart once you've rolled your D100, and on the chart will tell you what kind of critical hit it is. Now, some of the lower level criticals, like 1 to 30, 1 to 40, aren't too bad. They'll be like setbacks.
Oh, I found the ship critical hit one.
It's right next to it, I think.
Really?
I think so.
No. Okay. For this, if it had been on a ship,
hits.
it would have been shields failing, reduced defense in all defense zones by 1 point until it's repaired.
Ouch.
Yeah. So
that's
57 on a ship would have been that.
Here we go. Critical hit results. That was what, a 54?
57.
57. That would have been... Oh, shit. Nope, that's ships. You're right.
Told you.
Well, I don't have my cheat sheet out.
I'll find it.
You find it.
I'll find
You check the sheet and you'd see what you got. There are things like you lose if you're getting higher in the numbers, you lose an arm, you start to bleed out, and you'll be dead by the end of the round, which is real scary. You'll be dead by the end of the encounter, meaning you're slowly bleeding out. There's anything above 150 means you're just utterly obliterated and there's no coming back. So it gets really scary. When you start getting hit with vicious weapons, though, like a vibro axe, as Cantios was hit, he rolled really high when he rolled his critical, because the guy who was wielding the axe was really skilled with it. He hit and got a really good roll, and immediately was in like the 90s, I think, when he rolled.
Yeah. So this is 57 for a critical injury, and that's what you've got to look up if you want. In like people injuries would be an agonizing wound. The target increases the difficulty of all brawn and agility checks by 1 until the end of the encounter.
Ouch! So that's all combat checks.
Yep.
That is all combat checks are now harder to do. And the big deal with critical hits is if you go to 0 hit points, you immediately get a critical hit. Vicious weapons, if somebody hits you with one, the critical hits are worse. As you gain critical hits, you get plus 10 to every one of the rolls. So you're getting closer and closer to death with every critical hit you get. Their disruptor rifles will give you, I think one of the characters that, like the main bounty hunter card that I have, has like a plus 5 to vicious with a disruptor rifle. There's a reason they're illegal. That means plus 50 off the top. If you roll a 100, your character's dead.
Yep.
And that's with one shot from one weapon. So death gets scary. It's definitely possible. If you take damage, and this is a table rule that we use, if you take damage after you've been knocked unconscious, you immediately get a critical hit from the damage that you'll be taking. Kind of D&D style. That means somebody is trying to put you down.
Yeah.
Or somebody threw a grenade and weren't thinking too straight. Yep, that's what I think is going to happen to you guys. Somebody's going to screw up. Somebody's going to throw that thermal detonator and not read the description or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Dragon Lord wants to know, if vibroblades are vicious in this game, how bad are lightsabers? Worse?
Yeah.
They have sunder, which allows them to break weapons, cut them in half, go down with them. They're pretty nasty, and it depends on what kind of saber you've got too, because those are something that you can work on over time and upgrade them. So lightsabers are nasty.
I've got them in my book here. I just have to find it. And this is sometimes what you gotta do. You gotta kind of flip through, find what you need.
I'm just rolling dice.
I know.
While you're looking for
figured.
stuff. So while you're looking for that, I'm going to answer another question.
Yeah.
How does the Force work? That's more of a question for you than me. Ranger hit a
Okay,
rat
so
king with a-
your
oh,
basic lightsaber, while still ridiculously hard to find at a rarity of 10, has Breach 1 and Sunder. So Breach means it goes through armor, yeah?
Yep.
Sunder means it breaks things.
Oh man, there it is. There's
So.
the Vibro Axe. This particular Vibro Axe has Sunder.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a nasty one. So yeah, they're really nasty. Lightsaber, there's one of them. There's different types too. I think these are the cards from just Edge. The problem, and you'll run into this, it's a little weird. In Edge of the Empire, if you're using just that core book, it only has one lightsaber. Whereas Force and Destiny, because it's focused on Force users, actually has a variety of lightsabers and lightsaber attachments, and so they don't just start super OP. It allows the Jedis to kind of build up into their role and not just get a white lightsaber that will wreck base every time they use it.
Yeah.
Which is a thing. So, how does the Force work? Since you're the only Force user that's used the Force thus far.
Well, you have to have some aptitude for, using it. And that is counted as your Force rating. So in order to use any of the Force powers, you have to have a Force rating at least 1. And that's why I spent all my XP to purchase the talent tree for Force-sensitive exile. And then once you have that Force rating of 1, you actually have to go and purchase various Force powers. And then from there, in order to use them, you've got to roll a Force die. So you've got to roll it. And if you get Dark Side, you can use it, but you take Conflict. And Conflict means that you get closer and closer to the dark side.
Every asks the question that fits into what you're talking about. Is Tabby going to be a light side user, or is she going to be using a dark side user? So is Kree going to be light side or dark side? And what you just rolled...
But using the dark side of the Force once doesn't make you dark side. It will increase the probability that you could fall to the dark side. But I started out light side. I started out pretty much in the middle. And I haven't been really nasty.
Yeah.
Except that one time.
You got to think of this as, depending on what you're doing, you're going to use the dark side point.
If you really need to heal that person who's dying in front of you, I'm going to use the dark side, I'm going to take the conflict, and I'm going to heal my friend.
Yeah. And is that doing something dark side? That's more like just harnessing that dark energy, that dark power, giving into a little bit of rage, a little bit of fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a fun system.
It's not necessarily like being dark side if you use the dark side every once in a while. It's like if you murder old ladies in the street. That will give you lots of conflict. That is how you fall to the dark side.
So that's about the actions. Yeah, the actions that you're going to take. And it's one of the systems that I don't care for is the morality system. I don't like how it's handled in the game. It's a number system that's supposed to dictate where the character is, light or dark. It's a very awkward system to use where the GM is supposed to award conflict points. But it's naturally always pushing characters toward the light side, and it kind of takes away some
Unless
of the
you're really bad, like murdering old ladies in the street.
Yeah, you've got to be really bad to make this thing pushed in any direction that's interesting. So, what about being a gray Jedi? See, that comes down to it's possible, but you'd have to work at being bad because it's naturally, the way they have it set up, it naturally progresses toward the light side. If you don't do anything in every session, you're going to gain light side. So that would be something you talk to your GM about and talk about how you want to play the character. And in my opinion, the morality system, just pull it out and substitute something that fits the story you're telling and the speed that you're telling it. So, have you heard the tragedy of Darth Tabby the Wise? Giant evil robot asks. Have you? Let's see. In Star Wars Saga Edition D20, when you use dark side abilities, you begin to get a corruption score when it equals your wisdom. And you are now an evil character. Yeah, there's something very similar in this, where if you hit a certain point of it's morality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you hit a certain point on morality, it turns you from light to dark, and it shifts like what points you can use.
How you determine your morality from session to session is with conflict. So this past session yesterday, I got 2 conflict for using 2 points of dark side. So at the end of the session, I rolled a d10, and this is actually what I got. So I got a 7, and I subtract those 2 conflict points, and I have a positive number, so it's a 5. So my morality increased by 5 because I didn't completely, murder an old lady in the street kind of thing. If say my conflict was 8 and I rolled a 7, I would get a -1. So it all depends on this roll at the end of the session compared to your conflict. That's how your morality increases towards the light side or decreases towards the dark side. But as you can see, I didn't do enough I didn't have enough conflict to even slow me down towards the light side, basically.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And maybe a problem with just how the speed at which we move with this campaign is a little bit slower. And so you end up going through 5 sessions where, you haven't had one of those real morality bending, and you haven't done really anything evil, so you should be gaining a little bit of morality. You've been doing good things, but it just seems a little offset. Like, you're already getting toward the echelons of good in the points side.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys aren't there yet. You guys aren't there yet at all. It's very strange. And there are some benefits to getting your character to that point. But, like, if you wanted to be a Grey Jedi, you would actively have to just do shitty things.
And that seems not good, because Grey Jedi aren't supposed to be, nasty, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it has nothing to do with that. And it's less about, you're evil, you're an evil douchebag, versus you're a good person. It's more about where are you pulling your power from. Hate, fear, or the common serenity of the Jedi. It's takes a little bit away from, I think, the storytelling. So it's one of the systems that we've it's there, but we're not focusing on. I mean, Cantios isn't evil. And he is conflicted as a character, not knowing really what's going on, wanting to know what's in the box that his mother gave him as shoved him onto a shuttle. And that has been driving him crazy as a character. He's going to shoot this box in one of the episodes.
He's going to run it over with a speeder.
Yeah, he was like, he was aiming at it from the top of his bunk at one point with a blaster. And I could have awarded a bunch of conflict points, but that would have totally ruined the moment of let me just interject some mechanics in here instead of continuing with the story where we all know where we're at in the story.
Yeah, so it's kind of an awkward system the way we play it.
Yeah, so I think it's just an awkward system. I can't imagine how it's supposed to work, in what way it wouldn't be, but maybe that's just me. Maybe some people love the morality system, but I bet there's a whole bunch of house rules on that. I bet you anything.
Yeah. We just haven't developed one yet.
Use a house rule to lower the type of die you use for morality? Yeah, or I was going to just say stop rolling for morality and just give it a straight number and have it based on story events. Make those big decisions really matter.
So that would be the way you would award XP, you'd award morality.
You'd be awarded morality. And then instead of it being based on just general conflict, have it be based on where the character sits right now. Maybe a sliding scale or something. I don't know. Something that I've been giving some thought, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, one more thing for you to keep track of, right?
Right. No joke.
This way, the players can keep track of their own morality. But so that's a benefit.
And it does give, benefits. So right now, where you're at with morality gives you, it starts you off with 1 light side token for the Destiny system, which is cool. I'm down with that. It's fine. You guys actually use them. Ethan donated $5 and says, "Are you going to put Stellaris Seasons on DVD?" No one has ever asked me that before. No, probably not. I couldn't put them on DVD because, I don't know. Nah, probably not. But thank you for the donation. Appreciate it, Ethan. See if we got any more questions. And is there anything else that we were talking this morning that we wanted to go over? We are going to try, for you guys who have commented on other videos, or on the last video, about the character intros. We did do a character intros after the break in the last episode.
Kind of in the middle things.
We'll do it again, maybe a little bit more detail in episode 2 on the stream. So expect that come Wednesday when we do the next episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll be a little bit more prepared for that. Nah, we won't be.
My biggest concern was I wanted it to feel like just another session, right? I didn't want it to feel like it was a stream. We are just getting on. We are going straight into the story. We're just playing, having a good time. The stream, and nothing against everybody watching the stream, but the stream came second to the players having fun for the GM, because this is what we did on my off day. And I was like, well, let's try to share it and see if any other people are interested in joining us on the journey. So,
because we're having fun. We're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. It's good times. We'll do better character intros in the next one.
Probably.
All right, see if we missed any questions real quick. Yeah, this is Tabletop Simulator for those asking. That question's come up a few times. Have you heard of Rogue Trader 40K? I have, but I've never played it. We answered that one. Speaking of Critical Role, it's playing their battle music right now. Probably a little bit too epic for what's happening.
Yeah, probably.
Basing morality on what happened instead of dice rolls makes more sense. I think so.
Well, once again, it's just one more thing for the GM to have to handle.
Yeah. And remembering, like, what did they do? Where was the character's mindset at that point and this point? And were they tapping into the dark side? Or were they giving into their rage or their fear? Or that could be a fun conversation with the players after the session is over, after the episode is over. Like, all right, how do you think Cree is handling the current situation? Is she kind of falling into that trap of fear or whatnot? I don't know. Yeah, that could be interesting. Hey, guys. Hey, Harry. Welcome back to the stream. Really glad you're having fun with this. I recognized Tabby, you in text, but who were the other 2 people?
I got recognized? Sweet.
Of course. You've been on here before?
Yeah, it's been a while.
The other 2 people are Blitz from the Discord community and Visern from the Discord community. So that's who those guys are. Blitz, one of our moderators. Visern, one of those guys that hangs out.
You'll probably find them both in Life is Feudal.
Probably digging holes right now if they're not busy working. Is this stream just starting? No, we've been going for like an hour. A little bit over an hour.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would explain why I'm out of coffee.
Could you make a video, maybe not live, with the character intros? The problem with that is that they wouldn't be updated. You know what I mean?
We haven't quite revealed all the backgrounds for the characters yet.
Yeah, that's a thing too. I mean, maybe that would be fun, is that the audience would know about the backgrounds, but then you guys would end up watching them. I know you guys can't handle it. Text immediately, would watch those intros to find out what everybody's background was like. Oh man.
Which, I mean, if we could do the whole not metagaming thing, I mean, I think we've been pretty good about it.
Yeah, no, this group's been really good. Oh, this group is a blast. I love these characters. They're so much fun to GM for.
Completely ridiculous.
You and your humans aren't supposed to be blue.
Oh, yeah, I guess we should probably... we could explain where that comes from, because that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, go for it.
So in our first little town, our little mining town, while Ranger and Cantios were talking to the leader of the town, trying to convince them that Tuscans were going to attack, I had picked up on he had mentioned one of his people was bleeding to death over in the med center, and being the character that I am, I've got my intelligence. I don't necessarily have any medical experience, but I figure I can, read the instruction manuals. That's kind of my default. So I go over there. Vic joins me, and we find a human man on the table, basically being attended to by a really broken medical droid.
It's an old mining town. That droid was ancient.
Yeah. So, as I'm examining this person, I'm kind of asking the droid questions, and you're telling me that he's turning blue. I turn to Vic, who is another alien. I'm this little Keldor. Vic's this hulking basilisk. I was like, is he supposed to be blue? Are humans supposed to be blue? Because some races are blue. So we have this whole discussion on whether or not humans are supposed to be blue. And
While this guy is like choking out, by the way, he's like he's getting darker and darker blue. He's like freaking out.
Yeah.
That was fun. And you guys had to figure out what was going on with him.
Yeah. So we do a scan, figure out there's something like blocking his throat. That's why he's turning
picked
blue.
It up right away, but he wasn't in the room.
But he wasn't
there. I know. I was like, shut up. You're not in the room. You don't know. You're not there. You can't tell them.
You're not there.
And the droid kept telling them, I've already given them Bacta for the blaster wound. And the blaster wound, he got shot by a Tusken with a slug thrower.
Yeah. Which I didn't pick up on. But that's okay. Led to a pretty funny instance of Nurse Vic assisting me
holding
with a little
him down with
bit
4
of
arms.
minor surgery. Well, he was holding him down with 2 arms, holding like a flashlight and the extra Bacta, and I had my scalpel. So I'm this little Keldor with this dark hood over my face, holding a scalpel above this poor dude who's suffocating on a table, while Vic holds him down, holds flashlights, holds things, and then a Rudian walks in to see this little
sees
thing.
you with a blade above this guy's throat, holding the guy down, flashlight at his face. Pretty great.
So yeah, that's where the humans aren't supposed to be blue comes from.
And then the sweep gang that you're going after, their hair was blue, so there was this conversation started back up again about like, oh, they're not supposed to be blue. No, hair blue is okay.
Yeah.
Keeps coming back. We got a few more questions here. Would it be interesting would you be interested in getting character submissions from community members of patrons to appear as NPCs? He's repeating somebody else's question. This is Shadowstar WDS. I've actually asked for scenarios the streams would like to see. You can PM them to me, or you can send them to me over Patreon. It's fine. Those are probably the 2 best ways of doing it. PM on the Discord, of course. And yeah, if there's cool like NPC ideas that you guys have, please send them to me. That'd be great. I can maybe mix them in there and have some fun with it. So people be like, that NPC, I know that guy. Kiba, question. Hey, Shaq, any advice for a new GM looking to make Star Wars Edge of the Empire game? Yeah, so my advice is, I'm a new GM. This is my first campaign. Prep a lot, have some avenues the players could possibly go in.
Because we will go everywhere, except into the sand. Don't go into the sand.
Don't go. You guys didn't go into the sand.
We did not.
Go have a list of names on hand. When players are like, oh, what's your name? And they ask that one guard that was just there for a second what the guy's name is, and have a name on hand ready to go. And that can lead to some really fun places they weren't expecting. That would be my advice. Have an idea where you want the campaign to go, and then don't be afraid to change it every single episode based on what the players have done. So if they go in a way that you didn't expect, but the story is more interesting that way, go that way and see what happens. That would be my advice. And have every episode change the next one in some way.
Don't worry too much about loot.
Yeah. Don't focus too. Don't feel like you've got to outdo yourself in every single episode to have a crazy loot because
it was never like that in the movies or anything like that. It was like they had the same blaster. They didn't.
Star Wars is more about like getting that weapon and modifying it to be your own, to be that symbol of your weapon. Think Han Solo's blaster. Think a lightsaber. It wasn't that they were looking for new guns every time and digging through corpses, trying to find that new sweet pair of boots or carbine. I'm just saying.
I got some sweet boots. I don't know what you're talking about.
You did get sweet boots. And then don't be afraid to make items that are unique to your players. Things that call out to one player or another, or push the story forward. I think that's a lot of fun too. Use the loot as more of a storytelling device and less of a constant reward that you shower players with. That's what credits are for.
If you can find them. If you don't blow them up.
If you don't blow them up, you control the spigot when it comes to loot. And there's also a lot of, so Tex has a good point. There's a lot of GMs that we've got over on the Discord that are planning or already playing Edge of the Empire.
Yeah.
Because we briefly talked about it, and then suddenly everybody was like buying rule books. So
Because it's fun.
we're actually going to get a new role soon for wannabe GMs, so they can actually
Sweet.
control chat channels, so they can make and lock them for their
Cool.
groups. So that's going to be a thing soon. Let's see. Why do characters keep asking about Sarlaccs? They were asking because they didn't know what a Sarlacc was.
We've never
They're not
been to
from
Tatooine.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You guys don't know what a Sarlacc is.
Nope.
And the guy they asked was a bartender who bought the bar from a guy who named it after a Sarlacc. He has no idea either. He thinks it's like a big cat, big dog. It's random stuff that comes up in campaigns.
So that's the important part about what your character knows isn't necessarily what the player knows.
Yeah. And keep in mind, what the NPCs know and who they are and how much experience they have with whatever they're being asked about. You guys were asking about Saven, somebody that you've heard about from other people. Apparently she has something to do with salvage company.
We should have
But-
asked Max.
But you asked a bartender. Like, why does a bartender know anything about a salvage operation? He wouldn't, right? Especially not one that's in a huge city with lots of salvage operations and lots of people inside it. So, that's the thing. Just because I live in North Carolina doesn't mean I know the most vicious animal that can attack me in the woods. There
I
you
do.
go. Well, yeah, but you're a special case. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. One of the
Yeah.
things that I like to reward players with in my campaign is just because you've got a lot of intelligence or a lot of mechanics or a lot of whatever, doesn't mean that you necessarily know everything there is to know about a topic. You've never been onto Tatooine before. How do you know what a Sarlacc is, even if you have 4 intelligence and a bunch of knowledge? But if you spend time with some of the people and you talk to them, you do some research, you buy books, whatever, you can gain
That's
that
actually
knowledge
what-
and have a resource.
What Ranger did when we spent time in the little mining town was he talked to people. So that's why he knew. What did he know? He knew something.
He knew about
Oh, the things that
Creatures.
could possibly live
Yeah.
under the sand.
creatures and threats that could possibly live under the shifting sands. Because he had spent a lot of time. He spent that week with the miners, the guards of the miners in Mos Takeh. And in that, because that's what he chose to do. He was like, I want to hang out with the guards and I want to help train them in case the Tuscans come back. And I said, okay, because everybody had like a week to do whatever they wanted. And a reward for that was, through those conversations over the course of a week, he learned a lot about the threats the guards deal with or that they've heard about. And now he has that resource to draw from. And now he can do knowledge checks to see if he knows what that thing is that could possibly kill them or could possibly be delicious if they're trying to survive in the wasteland. That kind of stuff. So we've used your background a lot for things where you're trying to figure out, like, what is Fort Tuscan? Do I know about this place? Well, since you grew up in a library basically as a character,
Yeah.
you did some
Big
knowledge
family
checks.
library.
And do you remember why you knew about Fort Tuscan?
Because I'd read adventure books set in, not like actual books about Tatooine and Tuscans, like adventure novels. That had mentioned Tuscans and yeah, it's probably not a good place to land.
Yep. And that saves your guys' butts, because you guys were coming right down on Fort Tuscan. I was like, all right, let's see if they can figure out a way to get out of this.
Yeah, and then we
you almost
almost hit a
landed on a
mountain.
mountain, and that was when you guys realized maybe we should try using the destiny points, because I was about to roll with how many times they impacted the side of the hill, and then how much damage that would have computed to. And you didn't even have a seatbelt on your part of this of the
Nope.
escape pod, which I loved. You didn't have any type of straps. Got a couple more questions here. Let's see what we got. That was the Starlight questions. We answered that one. Scrolling back up. Always have a plan B, C, and D. Yep. And then watch as the group avoids all of them.
Yep.
But the fun thing about that is, just because you didn't use it this time, you've got it in your back pocket now as a GM. You have this scenario that you've thought up, or that you have, that you may potentially come back later as a GM. You can use it. Or use it in
you could
another way.
modify
That'd be
it,
fun.
yeah.
Lynn Dark Knight asks, so, who is the pilot, and is he a leaf on the wind?
We're something on the wind.
I don't think any of you have piloting skills.
No, I think we're gonna... I don't know. Either Vic or Cantios, I think we're gonna do piloting stuff.
It's all agility.
Yeah.
Straight agility.
Yeah, probably Cantios then.
By piloting, for some reason, Vic has points into piloting. I love the mechanic, the guy who's probably not going to be flying.
Well, yeah, that's his background. He worked on starships, and he drove little vehicles around, moving starship parts, I think.
If we zoom in here, we can actually see it. Piloting, yep. So he's got 1 skill point in it, and he's got 2 points for agility, so that's a thing. Will you ever add in some references for Star Wars Galaxy's Guild? You guys will see. I don't want to give anything away. Will I put in references that you guys will recognize? That's another question that you...
Yeah.
Because my experience with Star Wars Galaxies goes far before I ever had a Discord. Surviving in the Wasteland sounds like Fallout. Yeah, it's basically Tatooine. Fallout is basically Tatooine. Mm-hmm. Terrible place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got another question about Critical Role. From what from Critical Role or other shows have influenced you in developing this campaign? Oh, I would have to say Critical Role got me into wanting to play. After
we started with Control.
Control, yep.
We started with Control's game.
Control Alt
Defeat.
Defeat. One of the guys over on Discord got us to play a new campaign, and I got hooked. And then I found Critical Role after that, and then I got you hooked onto Critical Role.
Maybe.
Tabby. It's true. You know it.
Maybe.
54 episodes later, that screams you're hooked. You want to watch some Critical Role? Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. I want to do it. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically no other shows, really. I like Matt Colville's GMing guides. Those are great. Matt Mercer's GMing guides over on Geek and Sundry are really great. He's got some awesome stuff. He's so passionate about this, about D&D, about tabletop gaming. So, yeah, that's about it. When is everyone else going to get here? I think everybody else is working right now. It's just going to be the 2 of us for today.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like we were sipping coffee and talking about all this stuff. Oh, wait, maybe we should answer some of these questions, where people can hear it. We're not just talking to the cat.
Indeed.
She does have questions, but not about this.
Not about this. About food. And when is it? Mm-hmm. Why is it not now?
It should be now.
It should be right now. Right now. Let's see.
She's actually sitting here looking at me.
Is she sitting on her spot?
Yeah.
Like your designated cat spot on your desk?
Yeah.
You have a cushion there for her?
You have to have a designated spot. Otherwise, she sits on your keyboard or your mouse. Usually while your hands are on them.
Amin has a question that I think you're gonna like.
No.
Will the characters be going to Lothal so Tabby can get a Loth cat and then everything will be right with me in the world?
If I can wrangle it, yes.
This has come up before.
I have determined via GM that Lothal is a place that we can go. It's not like blown up or anything. So I've already thought about it.
Is open.
I've already thought about it.
But you've never heard of Lothal, have you? I mean, we'd have to do a check. And then why would you want to go there? Your character has to have a reason, right?
Lothcat is enough of a reason, to be perfectly honest.
Do you know
the Force wants me to go there. That's why.
The Force wants me to go there. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. I'm the GM. I am the goddamn Force.
And you want me to go there? Or you're sleeping on the couch.
Wow. Question. How was your day, Shaq? My day is starting out. It was better, and then somebody brought up Lothcats.
I would go for a baby Rancor, too.
Not getting a baby Rancor. You know what? No, maybe
Lothcat is
will.
Totally reasonable.
That's a lesson that I think needs to be learned the hard way.
Really, Cantios should have it.
Just lock it in there with Cantios. You're terrible.
I got you a present. Okay, bye.
Bye. Like lock his door. You guys need to ship for that. That way you can have like lockable doors. When in Star Wars are you playing? Before the first Death Star blows up or after? Sorry if this has been asked, just tuned in. No, you're fine, Shadow. That's actually a really great question. We're playing a couple of months after the destruction of the first Death Star. So we're at the end of A New Hope and the beginning of quite before Empire Strikes Back. I think that's the most complex and interesting time during the Galactic Civil War. Everything is ramping up at this point. Rebel Alliance has gained serious traction. A lot of systems that were on the fence are starting to side with the Alliance to restore the Republic. The atrocities of the Empire are like you cannot be ignored at this point with the destruction of Alderaan. It's a pretty great time in the period. Not saying that the players are going to be forced down fighting for the rebellion against the Empire. It's very much their choice. It's just that's with all that conflict comes a lot of drama and fun stuff to toy around with. How does it affect the normal people? On the Rim, in the core worlds, in the colonies. That's kind of the things we get to explore, I think, a little bit, and have a little backdrop going on.
Because we are the representatives of the normal people, which is kind of scary.
Yeah,
we're
right.
Not normal.
No, I was thinking actually the normal people. You guys are no way normal.
Nope.
You guys are just weird. Oh no, I dropped my dice.
No.
Nope, that was one of the setback dice,
So everything is perpetually easier. Sweet.
Found it.
Oh.
Cat didn't get it. Is Tabby force sensitive? Kick wants to know.
Is Tabby force sensitive, or is my
Are
character?
you force sensitive?
Good question. My character, yes, is force sensitive.
I will let you guys go to Lothal and get all the Lothcats you can carry.
Sweet.
That's how I see that going. Yeah, Kree is force sensitive. Hence the Healy hands, the jazz hands, as apparently
Jedi jazz hands.
The group has come to call it. How easy do you find GMing the sessions to be? Once I'm prepared, awesome.
Herding cats.
That too.
Herding loth cats.
In the funnest way. In the funnest way. I really enjoy it. Is VR supported for this? Yeah. Tabletop Simulator has VR. I haven't used it, but it's there. That'd be real weird to GM in VR. Oh man, now I kind of want to try it, but that would be such a distraction. And then imagine the perspective for the players, or for the audience, as I'm like moving around the table. Oh man, now I want to try it just to say I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. That'd be bad.
Basically.
You guys should feel bad for recommending me do that. I've got it.
Now he's gonna do it.
Question: Lynn Dark Knight asks, if the player decides to follow the Empire, will you paint the Empire in a better light than most every show has so far? No. Because the Empire is
terrible.
The epitome of evil empires. Like, it is the example of the worst it can get. So no.
And
no,
once again, we're aliens. They wouldn't accept us anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you have to go like, I don't know. I mean, there'd be some weird stories you could probably run with, because there are aliens within the Empire that have proven themselves. Thrawn is always the example people throw out there, but that's a very
particular example.
Very particular example. Now, the individuals inside the Empire, yeah, I would paint them as just they're people, right? They're people that have signed up for the Empire maybe for a better life, and like the average stormtrooper. But as you go up in the ranks, you get to the people who are making the harder decisions. And you know what? If you're basically pulling the trigger on war crimes as a stormtrooper, then there is no light I can paint you in that is good. Just different shades of gray to the darkest shades of evil.
I think you'd need a particular GM to run that kind of game.
Yeah.
You are not that GM. So,
I mean, that'd be an interesting campaign to play for like a group of true believers. Like the Empire is obviously the way to go. Peace can only be through superior firepower.
It's all they've ever known.
That could be a really interesting campaign, especially if it's a campaign where those characters start to question those motives and start to say, maybe these orders aren't the most just orders, and that we are actually
Lost
bringing
Stars.
Peace.
That book was good.
And then you start getting that kind of drama and dilemma. That could be really interesting.
It could be, yeah.
No, I won't be painting the Empire as the good guys, because that would be ridiculous. How will chat interaction work with this format, or will it be videos and not streams? It's going to be streams. So you guys are seeing it live. So if somebody dies, you see it live. You get kind of like, you just, as it's happening, no edits. As for stream interaction, I'm still trying to figure that out. Because there's all kinds of questions. People were asking, like, how do donations work? And I meant to say thank you to the people who donated in the last stream. As for chat interaction, I don't want to distract players with the chat, to be honest. I want them to be, whoa,
because we are like role playing.
Yeah.
So by talking to things outside the world, it's hard to figure it out. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't mean to
it's hard. No, you're fine. I was just reading chat. See, it's distracting.
Yep. Uh-huh.
So that's kind of a thing. During the breaks, we'll probably go through chat and ask questions and see how everybody's doing, and maybe, there's be that kind of interaction. But no, we're not going to be constantly like answering questions in the chat while players are trying to get into character and are they role playing, they're enjoying their time playing. This is definitely like us just sharing our fun Monday night game night with the world.
Next Wednesday.
Which is actually next Wednesday. And then back to Mondays. So that's a thing. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. Make sure you're putting questions in brackets so we can see them. Do you have a plan if one of the team drops out of hyperspace upside down, falling down to the planet? I have no, but I've had a lot of fun ideas if they fail their astrogation checks.
Yeah.
Because you have to set a course. The Navicomputer will do most of the work for you, but it's up to the player to check those numbers to make sure that they're coming out of hyperspace.
It's up to the player to purchase a droid to do that for them.
But you still have to check his work. So is there still an astrogation check that must be done? Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that I'm gonna kill us all. Fabulous.
Oh yeah, failing an astrogation check. I mean, you could end up in the path of a rogue asteroid. You could end up in the gravity well of a sun with like radiation pouring through the ship. You could end up crashing into the atmosphere of a planet or a moon with no oxygen or an Imperial base or colliding with another ship or just...
So he has given this some thought.
So
as
many
you
things.
can see, I hate space.
I may have thought of a few things.
I'm the only character who can survive in it. That's irony
That's
right there.
The only character who hates space. Well, I don't know if the rest of the characters hate space or not, but you're the only
I
one
doubt
that can
it.
survive
I doubt
zero.
anyone hates space with the kind of passion that I hate space.
Will viewers, patrons become things like NPCs or something similar? I'm open to the idea. I mean, if there's a patron that wants to put in an NPC name and like a little bit, like a short like paragraph background and send it to me over on Patreon, go for it. I'm totally down with that. And I won't guarantee anything, but I will read through them, and the ones that work, that fit what I'm looking for, why not? That'd be great. That'd be really fun. You're actually saving me some work too.
We literally just did this on a whim yesterday, so there's really nothing set up just yet.
Yeah. It was totally like, you know what, let's just stream it. It's a good starting point. You guys are in a major city. We'll just see how it goes.
Spent 2 hours shopping.
Learning experience. Starting with the shopping episode. Buying a vehicle. Let's see. Questions. What happens in space combat? Pew, 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 pew.
We die horribly in the vacuum of space.
Depends on the vehicles, but space combat's totally a thing. There's mechanics for it. So it works a lot like ground combat. There's positioning, there's abilities that different characters can use. If they're all crewing the same ship, they have things like jamming enemy targets and firing missiles and using the gunnery targets that have different areas of cover. There's doing emergency repairs. There's all that kind of stuff. The pilot has all kinds of maneuvers they can do that'll affect how the rest of the gunners can aim their weapons, so they can like keep it steady so it's easier for the gunners to shoot, but it's easier for them to be shot. They can evasive maneuvers and fly like a maniac all over the place. And means their gunners are going to have a hard time actually tracking those TIE fighters that are closing in on them. Different ships have different abilities, like TIE fighters have linked cannons, so when they hit for twice the damage. They don't have a ship yet, though, so this is all coming soon.
We just got a speeder.
You guys have a skiff now. It's adorable.
Yeah, and I
I'm
fell
standing
out
on
of
top
it.
of it right now. I don't know where your little
No, I'm
icon
not.
is, though.
I fell out of it again.
Yep, you're gone.
Flop.
I probably put your little icon somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah, I know. You usually
I'm
do.
real bad. Or we checked it off the table again. That happens. Aaron, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Hi, Tabby and Shaq. Use this to get both of you some coffee.
Sweet. I am out of coffee.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'm almost out. I've got a few sips left. We got more questions coming in. Would you incorporate minor characters that could show up for like patrons? We just answered that. We just answered that. So yeah, totally.
Potentially.
Send them over on Patreon. And if they meet the requirements, or if I could adjust them, I might add them in for sure. You just have to watch and see if your character pops up.
And then potentially we shoot them.
I could probably use a couple of Swoop Gang members. Not saying they're running into the hive of scum and villainy that is the Squill Kings, which is the group's name, HQ.
No, we literally are.
Like 30-something swoopers in it, and they decided, let's go attack that with 4 people. I love this plan. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe a short series. They may be rerolling characters soon.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaq. What's going on in game? P.S. We have the same headphones. I love these headphones. So comfy. So what's going on? Oh, we're just Q&A while we mess around in Tabletop Simulator. I'm going to roll some dice. Boop.
I really want to flip the table.
Don't flip the table. We'll flip the table at the end.
Okay.
I'll let you flip the table at the end.
Sweet.
That button, that flip table button. It's just always taunting. Let's see. Question. Is this an electronic version of Edge of the Empire? If so, where do I find it? It's not like an official one. It's just a bunch of resources that you can use. You still need the book. You need the rule book. One of them. This is just one of the Edge of the Empire tabletop modules that players have put together with a bunch of like character sheets and stuff that you can mess around with. And there's a lot here that's custom that I've imported off of like Google and stuff. So like the map in the background. Where they had their ambush with the swoop gangs, and you guys just absolutely wrecked them.
Yeah.
Missed a question. Shaq, Tabby, would you be interested in playing some Warhammer AD&D games? Because if so, I know a couple GMs in a couple different Discords.
Warhammer's a whole different beast.
I don't know enough about Warhammer. I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter, does it?
Like,
you can totally
not
jump in.
40K. We're talking fantasy Warhammer, yeah?
Oh, yeah, he just said Warhammer.
I know even less about that.
Yeah.
Except vampires suck.
Bad puns are bad. Even if you didn't mean to say them.
I didn't mean that one.
Even better. Even better. Right. Let's see. Would you be interested in a lot of text yapping about accents? Question: are there any weird mechanics that annoy you about this game? Harry asks. Yeah, the Destiny system. I don't like it.
Morality.
The Destiny morality, or the morality. I like the Destiny system. Flipping over the Destiny points for players and GMs to kind of show the force and action flowing and moving and affecting the world. I like this. I think it gives players the opportunity to affect the story in fun ways, where there's this shot that really needs to happen for their plan to work, and they can flip over a bunch of these points and make that shot possible. I think is really cool.
We talked a little bit about the morality system and how it just doesn't seem to work for what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm a little interested in how space combat's gonna work, because we haven't gotten too deep into that yet. We've done some ground combat with how vehicle combat works. It's interesting. We're gonna see how it works and probably do some table rules once we get it down, some house rules, figuring out what we like. But let's see. Is this the pre-Disney expanded universe? Are cameos a thing? Running with Thrawn would be crazy. So the way that I'm handling
I think we'd
this,
all die if we had to run in with Thrawn. Like legit, just like we'd get bombed off the face of the planet.
Only
That's
if he
kinda
wants
how Thrawn
something
does
from
things.
you. No, well, he's more subtle than that. But if he ends up becoming an opponent of yours, that'd be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Super scary. So yes, they could run into major characters. There's always that weird thing with like running into a major universe character, and
But then they become more important than us, because Han Solo.
Yeah, you run into Han Solo, you run into Chewbacca. So it's possible. I'll say that. And is this pre-Disney? No, this is me taking what works for the campaign. So I'll take from Legends content because the Disney stuff, that the new lore isn't as fleshed out, like the history of Tusken Raiders and how they operate as like a family unit and stuff like that. I'm not going to get that from the Disney lore. I'm going to have to get that from whatever source I can find it, and if I can't find it, I make it up.
Yep.
So there's a lot of, like, as a GM playing a Star Wars game, there are so many areas that aren't explained, that aren't in detail, that you're just going to have to make up. And some things that you're just not going to have time to figure out because the players decided to go, I don't know, do something you didn't expect, to use a piece of technology that's never been shown, but it makes sense that it exists. You're going to have to figure out the rules to that. How does a bounty hunter terminal work? How do bounties work in general? How does the guild work and actually handle its members, especially on a territory like Tatooine? These are things that you're going to have to figure out the details for. Yeah. If you can't figure it out, you don't know what it is, make it up. And now that is canon in your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
What if you run into Luke Skywalker? Master Rule asks. Then they see a
I wave. I don't
hi
know.
random human being that they've never seen before. It wouldn't mean anything to them.
Hi.
They wouldn't know who Luke Skywalker is. They might know through rumors about the destruction of the Death Star at this point. That only happened a couple months ago. But
would we know names?
But would you
Those
know? Yeah,
be
would
the
you know names? Or would it just be rebels did it?
We're not really like connected to the rebellion at this point, so.
Yeah. Maybe if they were in the inner circle of the Rebel Alliance, they'd start hearing those names, and they met them, and it'd be like, wow, I've heard you done good work. You know, it would just be a normal interaction. They're not grand heroes. Maybe well-known heroes in those small circles, but that'd be it. Treat them like people, because that's what they'd be in this universe.
But Luke Skywalker isn't going to become like our companion, our questing companion or anything.
You're not going to have like Luke and R2-D2 following you guys around. They've got their own to deal with.
Yeah.
It's totally possible that if you guys were working for the Rebellion and you had like some type of X-Wing support, Rogue Squadron could back you up. That's legitimate. If you're working in a territory that they're working at and it's an important mission, that might be a thing. You may hear offhand about how Hera and her crew are doing something on Lothal if you're in Lothal, but
Lothcats for the win.
Lothcats for the win. Remember, it's your player's story, not those well-known characters' story. More likely that you guys would hear about people like Tarkin, who's well known in the Rim because he's leading the Imperial shenanigans out there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Shaq,
but there's a lot of levels between us and Tarkin.
Yeah.
So.
And would you care? Would it mean anything to you? Is the next question.
As a character?
As a character. Yeah. It's just another Imperial making life hard.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to create NPC companions to join your team?
Well, the GM would have to run them.
Not really. Yeah, I'd have to run them, and then they need to make sense. And that'd have to be something that came out of the story.
Pretty sure the closest we're going to get is a Lothcat.
You and your damn Lothcat. You don't even know where Lothal is, all right?
Don't care.
You don't even know of the planet.
Don't care.
No name.
Life goals.
Life goals.
And that's when the GM kills me.
How many planets are there?
Kree just falls over dead. Blah.
How do you answer that question? Yeah, that's it. You get
I wasn't
crushed
listening.
by a Sarlacc, and that's interesting because Sarlaccs are underground. It just comes out of the ground and crushes you, and that's it. It's the end.
Well, I was daydreaming about Lothcats.
Yep.
Sorry, I wasn't actually listening to you. What would you say?
Wow. So rude.
Daydreaming about Lothcats.
How many planets are there to explore? You want to answer that one?
All of them? Except the ones that are blown up?
One less now that Albert is right. How about that?
One less.
-1 from infinity.
I mean, as long as we can get there and all of our characters can live on survive the planet's atmosphere.
Yeah.
Most of our
even
characters
the planets that they couldn't survive. They could go there for a minute.
Yeah.
It'd be the last thing they do. It's your imagination. You can go to town with it. So
usually we give the GM a heads up where we're gonna go so he can prep stuff, but
yeah. And normally I have an idea because I've watched the characters progress and I've figured out what the characters are interested in pursuing, so I have an idea of where they're gonna want to go. I know where Kree wants to go. I know where maybe not a location, but I know where Vic has an idea on where he wants to go, like what his interests are right now, what his priorities are, and I know what Cantios' priorities are. And not all of those rely on a place so much as an action or a person or a thing. So it's the GM's job to make those places that they want to go interesting. So they're not just like, let's just go to that planet over there. Why? Because it's there, you know? That's totally doable. There's even charts for exploration in the exploration source books. So people just want to like, let's find out what's over on that planet on the star map. And then you can, as a GM, just roll and see like, okay, well, here's what the planet's like, and here's what's on the planet, and
so if you'd like to see a typical roll for me, this is it.
Blank, blank. Lots
of advantage.
Advantage, 1 success. Now let's see that. Now that was a really good, like, that's something you've got a lot of characteristics in. You got a little bit of skill.
Yeah, this is more than I would actually have any.
Failed.
I failed it. I would have failed this roll.
Oh, you would have failed that roll.
Because.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good. That's how your rolls go.
Yeah, that's how a lot of rolls go.
Fail. You have to have more successes, 1 more success than there are
so
failures.
I've got 2 success, and those are canceled out by those 2 failures.
So there's
I'd
one
still have like
failure.
3 advantage.
Yeah, but you wouldn't succeed at what you were trying.
No.
So if you're trying to shoot somebody, you would have missed. Maybe you would have made him duck behind cover, so his next shot is harder to make. Or had him like chased him out of cover. That could have been a thing. But let's see. Got lots of questions here. Planets. We already answered that. Is it possible to create NPC companions for your team to join? We already answered that. Does the morality system prevent things like Grey Jedi? Yeah, basically. That's why we're not really going to use it.
The mechanics of it are kind of goofy.
Yeah, they're a little too goofy. So if you're talking about wanting to be a Grey Jedi, or explore that aspect of like the Force in a narrative, think about where you want the story to go. Don't just walk in and be like, I want to be a Grey Jedi.
What does that mean to the character?
Yeah, what does that actually mean?
Were you a Jedi, or were you know? I don't know how that works.
Were you a Jedi who's now decided that maybe the Jedi Order and the rules that go along with it and the focus on just that aspect of the Force is just stupid? Are you a Sith or somebody who's a fallen Jedi who's realized that maybe giving into your rage and your hate and your anger is just...
Isn't the best plan.
Isn't the best plan. Maybe you've hurt people that you care about doing that with your ambitions. And so you've kind of moved that bar now more toward the center. You know, think about what it means to be a Grey and not just, I want the title of Grey Jedi because I like characters who have called themselves Grey Jedi in the past because I like KOTOR. You know, think about what it means to be a character. KOTOR is great.
I mean, there's other Force users other than Jedi.
True. There's a whole gamut in between Sith and Jedi. Those are just extremes.
Jedi at all.
You can be a Force user without being a Jedi. For sure.
Without aspiring to be a Jedi.
Yep. You don't have to end up with a lightsaber. It's more about the narrative than it is about worrying about, you know, where I fall on the line. Especially this period. Jedi aren't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi are done. They are dead for all intents and purposes.
And wiped from the records.
Exceptions. And they're being wiped from the records completely. So finding more about them is difficult, and that's a fun story to tell. Finding why they fell. Finding out what that means to the characters who are looking up this information. Could be really interesting.
Means it's hard to find.
Exploring other Force users and the way that they manipulate the Force. The Witches of Dathomir. There's a whole bunch of Force users. Really, Force is magic in Star Wars. You can do anything you can think of with magic within reason that matches the narrative. So you can go ham. That's why people are like, I like D&D because it's more open. Star Wars can be just as open. Just tell the story.
Mm-hmm. Your Force powers are your spells, basically.
Yeah. Is it possible to create... no, let's see. Hey, Shaq, is Edge of the Empire the only book you have? Or do you have some of the others? Personally, I like the revised one because you can have clones.
We've got so many books.
We've got all the books. All of the
Not all the books. We've got a lot of the books.
Revised book. Have you heard of that? Revised?
No. I mean, is it an actual book from, what is this, Fantasy Flight?
Or is it a fan-made one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where it has like supplements, because there's a bunch of fan-made supplements that are really good. How hard will you be on your players as a GM? You want to answer that one?
We can try.
We can try. You can try. That's what I was telling.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said we.
Yeah.
As players, we can try stuff. He's been pretty fair. I mean, we've tried some pretty wacky stuff. Whether that succeeds or fails is based on how wacky. Like, where are we trying to go with this? But I don't think he's been, like, deliberately out to get us. Because that's not fun.
Yeah, no. That's the way that I play. It's not... The way that I run things as the GM...
I mean, if we die, we're dead.
Yeah.
But
death is a thing. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Until I get better at my force powers.
Unless you have a force power that says, I can bring someone back to life. And even that force power is ridiculously hard to pull off.
Yeah.
It's like a 5 purple check. And that's before I add any modifiers based on what the situation is that you're in while trying to attempt this.
No.
Because death needs to feel real.
I have to spend 4 force points. So I have to roll really, really well on multiple force dice to bring somebody back.
What I was thinking of was the adding criticals with that ability, but that's besides the point. So the way that I handle difficulty when they want to try something, because the book is a little weird on difficulty. The book is like, okay, you're going to use setback dice for like rain, and you're going to use, maybe there's high winds, so another setback dice. And then they're like, oh, and then some things are harder than others, so you're going to add more purples if the difficulty is harder. So obviously that does make it harder. The problem is it doesn't make it narratively interesting until you bring out the red dice. But the book is really vague on how and when to bring out the red dice. So this is how I do it. Based on the chances of actually succeeding at what they're trying to do, the conditions that they're in when trying to do the thing. So are they under fire? Are they in the rain? Is there a sandstorm? Are they on a time crunch? Is this thing, like, everything hinges on this thing to happen just the way that it has to happen, or they're all screwed? These things affect the difficulty and how many red dice. If the possibility of failure is catastrophic, like if something goes terribly wrong, say you're walking across a rope bridge and that bridge is questionable at best. If the bridge is only 10 feet off the ground and the rope breaks, then okay, you fall 10 feet and it hurts, but it's probably not going to kill you. So I'll probably keep it just a couple of purples. If it's a 60-foot drop and it spikes on the bottom, I'm probably going to add a couple of reds to it. Because the possibility of falling is, and having something terrible happen, like getting a despair, is there. There's a possibility of something terrible happening in this instance. So that's kind of how I feel out what you guys are trying to do. Because the rules for pulling out the red dice are questionable at best. There's a lot of overlap between using purples and using reds. It comes down to GM discretion. How hard is the thing going to be in your mind for the players to accomplish? Versus what kind of outcome is possible in this event that you're going to be doing. And that's when you start pulling out those red dice.
Which we don't actually see.
Which they don't see the rolls. Because they spend too much time staring at the rolls and not thinking about the narrative of it. So I keep those dice to myself, especially stealth rolls. If they want to go stealth around, I will roll the perception of whoever may be looking, but they won't know. I will also write down their stealth to know, like, how well they hid themselves as they try to stealth. It makes a lot of tension when they're like, did I roll well enough for that stormtrooper to not see me? I don't know.
You won't know until
you try.
Roll for initiative.
Because how would your character know if they stealthed well enough for someone not to notice you? Or to sneak around that loth cat who can probably smell you, has decent perception. You don't know until you try.
You can try.
So difficulty, I try to be fair. Death is a thing. It makes the game fun. It makes it interesting. Yeah. So I hope that answers things.
Not deliberately like hard on us. Sometimes we do kind of goofy things, and those things are harder to do, which is kind of legit.
But that's the fun too, is that you guys can come up with a crazy idea of, I want to slide down the hillside using my staff as a rudder. Okay, well, we're going to upgrade that roll because you're doing something crazy and your character's already bad at this.
Oh, yeah. Real bad.
There's all kinds of fun examples they've done, but let's see. Shack. I don't know why you need another book to have clones. That revised book apparently has clones in it. Oh, you're talking about like character clones? Like as a respawn mechanic? Nah, I'm not doing that. Death is death. We don't clone people and say, okay, well, you're just in your new clone body, so it's fine. Death means nothing.
Oh, like galaxies.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I'm not doing that. You die, you're dead.
Yeah.
That makes the decisions that you make matter so much more.
And it's a lot of fun to roll characters. Creating a character in this world is fun.
There's so much you can do. Let's see. That's about Warhammer, so it's a little off topic. Does the morality system prevent Grey Jedi? We answered that one. Sorry if I'm not getting these questions fast, guys. We kind of get stuck on one. Do stormtroopers naturally have worse aim because of their helmets or not? They do not. They have the same difficulty at shots.
Been trained to shoot through with those helmets on, so
let's see.
Narratively,
the helmets do not affect them now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what their skills are actually. So one of the things that I'm probably going to be doing, they haven't encountered stormtroopers as combat. I won't be using the minion stormtroopers because they're worthless. They make stormtroopers pathetic, but there are other options. So stormtroopers should be a threat. They shouldn't be firing at the walls all the time and running backwards, and nor should they be 360 no-scoping you guys. There's a bit of a balance there. Customize your NPCs. That's my advice. To fit the story you're telling. Stormtroopers naturally. I already did that one in. Plot armor. No plot armor here. They put themselves in a terrible position and don't think it through, and they take 20 blaster bolts to the face. They're dead.
Or just one vibro axe.
Or yeah, like Cantios found out. Or one vibro axe can kill you. Or get them damn close.
Yep.
Are the environments that you're using on the table pre-made? How do you make them? So I've made my own environments before. You guys have seen that. I'm gonna take this stuff and like throw it over here in a corner. Flop. But for this particular table, and there's a few tables for Edge of the Empire, there are already pre-made tile sets that you can grab. I've used Photoshop to make my own. I've used a cave generator to make my own. One of the ones that I actually made, the first one that I actually made.
The Rat King's Cave?
The Rat King's Cave. I'm trying to find it.
I can just hear you rustling through stuff on behind that GM screen.
Oh, yeah.
The GM fog of war.
I don't see it, oddly enough. All right, well, anyways, this has got to be cleaned out. This is all old stuff. But there is... Yeah, I must have gotten rid of it because we already went through it.
But we're going to come back to it.
Yeah, I have
still got stuff in that cave.
I have it still. I just don't have it on the board right now. It's on the hard drive. So there's all kinds of ways you can do it. You can do it in MS Paint. I mean, and then you as the GM, because a lot of people are like, well, there's no, unlike D&D, there's no grids. I don't know how many feet I can run. I don't know how many feet I can shoot or how many feet the explosion is going to be. This system doesn't really use that. So you as a GM, if you're going to use a map, and you don't have to use a map for this system, but if you're going to, just designate like, okay, for us, we used 13 on the measurement stick, which all players can see.
Short range.
That's short range. If you want to run across to here, 26, that means 2 movements. That's going to get you out into medium range. So that's how we were operating, basically. So they could measure out, okay, well, if I'm over here and I'm taking cover behind what we were calling, these are rocks, I have to have a weapon that can fire out to medium range if I'm going to hit anything. If I'm going to shoot over to here, like the guy runs off the map, long range. Apparently, vibro greatswords are too. All the vibro weapons are terrible and awesome at the same time. They all have vicious, which makes them
vicious
faster to kill somebody. Yeah, it gives you more points toward those critical hits. So, do your clone troops age as fast in the campaign as in the Clone Wars? I don't have any clone troopers in the campaign yet, but it would match probably what you've seen in Rebels. If you saw a clone trooper, depending on what like vat he came out of, like what time period he was cloned. Was he one of the last ones? Was he one of the early ones in the war? That kind of thing. So, is Awakening of the Rebellion coming out later today? Yep, I'm gonna record it after this. It's my plan, at least. There is no possibility of death, and where's the risk? Text says. We avoided the sand because death is possible, so why court it? It's true.
Well, it depends on your character. To be honest, I've used Vic as cover before. I'm gonna hide behind the basilisk.
He's big enough. He can do it. It's totally possible. It's
Full
fine.
cover.
Full cover. That's a mechanic me and Tabby were talking about that I'm thinking of adding is that cover means more and giving 2 boost die instead of just 1. Or 2 setback die instead of just 1 for people firing at you. Just to make it more tactical. Like players are going to want to flank behind an enemy and fire from cover. And moving from cover to cover matters more.
Mm-hmm.
Does Edge of the Empire support all eras? Edge of the Empire supports everything.
Whatever you can think up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a basic combat system and a basic skill system, and then you go ham with what you want to do. You make the world space, you make the weapons, you make the items, you put the ships in the game. There are lots of resources that players have already made.
House rule it up.
Yeah, house rule it up, make it custom, make your items custom. There's where's your staff?
Oh, it's over here. Where it always is.
There we go. There's also, if you've got Photoshop, you can make your own item cards if you want, if you're using this system, or you can just write it on if you're playing on a table, write what the item is.
I got the note card here, too.
You got a note card? Oh, yeah, for your backpack.
The Seeker. No, right here.
The Seeker right here. This is a weapon that was customized, holdout blaster by
Vic made it for me.
Very cool, very cool. And that's all you need. You just need some code cards. Sticky notes. If you're playing at a table, sticky notes. You can make items.
Oh my god, so many sticky notes.
Boom. I got sticky notes I can't show you guys because some of the things haven't been shown yet. But yeah, you could make all this stuff yourself, which is pretty great. So let's see. So you could do a Clone Wars campaign easily. And then you go like down the soldier tree or the leadership tree. There's all kinds of different skill sets. If you're playing a Jedi, get Force and Destiny and make a Jedi character. Yeah, totally do that. Fighting droids, make some stats for the droids. B1s, B2s, assault battle droids, the Providence class battleships. From there, all of it. You can do all of it in the system. It's actually pretty flexible once you get your head around how it works. Let's see. He hasn't used it yet. Question. Can you buy different ships? Yep, we talked about that. You can buy different ships, equipment.
Depends on where you're trying to buy them from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, different vendors will have different stock, so.
It's true. And where you're at. If you're in the core worlds, you'll probably be able to find the newest and the shiniest. It's probably going to be really expensive. If you're on Tatooine, you're probably going to buy a desert skiff. Like Vic has picked up, the team has picked up, that Vic is driving. There you go. Which was a custom vehicle, by the way. I made that card. A little bit of Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And then balancing it based on other vehicles that are in the world already. So, takes a bit. A lot of prep. If you're making a totally custom campaign, there seems to be a lot of prep from what I've experienced, but it's really rewarding. It's fun. Rebels aren't going to get access to a ISD, text says. Yeah, that's in the old lore they had captured quite a few Star Destroyers, but in the new lore, it was a really rare thing. There's actually, Lost Stars talks about it a bit. I'm playing. Jack the Awesome says I'm playing Edge with a group at the moment, and one of our players is an old Clone Wars B1. That's fantastic.
You can be a droid.
You can be a droid. There's rules for being a droid, and they're probably the most customizable of starting characters because you can put their points into anything, and they get more XP, I think, than anybody else because the droids can be an astromech to a mouse droid all the way to an assassin droid. Like there's that range. So it'd be weird if somebody tried to play like a binary load lifter. Basically a sentient forklift. That would be so weird. I kind of want to see it though.
Doors would never be a problem, ever.
Chonk.
Just go through them.
You just walk right through the wall. Why not?
Although I imagine the party would be paying a lot in repairs to various city officials.
Well, Captain Thorne's talking about there's a lot of prep work. There seems to be more in this than what he's past GM'd. That's because I'm making my own campaign, and I'm fleshing out a lot of just Tatooine right now. So, if I was just doing a pre-made, there wouldn't be this much prep. I just run through the book. NPCs are made for me. The roles are already set for me. All that jazz. But I think the funnest part is making it up as you go. For me, that's my fun part. Just like picking.
Oh well, yeah. And then seeing what shenanigans we get into.
Mm-hmm. And the part of the fun is I don't know where it's going, so I get to be along for the ride, just like you guys do. We're about to wrap up the Q&A, guys. If you got any more questions, drop them in the chat. Missed a couple of. Basically, this is Star Wars D&D. Yep. Sitting around a table playing with friends. If that's what you mean, then for sure. Mm-hmm. Group storytelling.
Rolling dice.
It'd be cool if they stumbled upon a Clone Wars era ship whilst adventuring. Yeah, the Clone Wars is something that I think a lot of people shy away from. It was a huge conflict, especially in the Rim. So you can't ignore the fact that there was a giant civil war out here, basically.
But which of our characters would know about that?
I mean, you know about bits of it. I think Vic is old enough to have remembered it. He was probably around 10.
So, I mean, that's another thing. It's like you could introduce this really cool Clone Wars era stuff, but whether or not the characters actually recognize it,
yeah,
is a whole
what's a
different
battle droid
thing.
versus a combat droid from now this period? What would you care? What's as a character? Do you care?
That's a weird looking battle droid. I shoot it.
I shoot the thing. A lot of that old tech has been salvaged, so you probably see a lot of that floating around and used by various entities. Yeah, don't ignore it. There's a lot of lore there and stuff to access. Bunch of off-topic question. Are there cats other than the Loth cat? Tabby needs a kitty army. Don't.
Yes.
Why do you do this to me, Harry? As the GM, I will be controlling the NPCs, right?
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So really, it would be your cat army. And I really don't need anything else to trip over. My coordination sucks.
Oh, and they'd be cats, too.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word. If you've ever had a cat, gotta stick in character. Okay, question. Here's a good one. Cordier wants to know, if someone becomes a Jedi, or in this case, I'll just say Force user, but he says Jedi, will Vader or the Inquisitors come down on them? Yeah, for sure. If the word gets out that there's people with crazy superpowers, if the word comes out that a Force user exists and is using those powers in public, the Empire is actively seeking them out in this time period, hunting them down. Jedi or not, the Emperor wants no one using Force powers outside of them, and they're hunting them down for various reasons, not just to kill them all. The Jedi are just out to be annihilated.
The Jedi as an organization.
Yeah.
Because they oppose the Empire. But Force users in general aren't necessarily Jedi, and then, the Empire uses them. The dark side.
Liam, we've answered that one already, but it's about 2 months after the destruction of the first Death Star. This time period. Let's see. Hey, Shaq, what are your thoughts on... it's going to stay on topic. A lot of questions about other games. Top 5 Empire War mods.
Just like players herding cats.
All right. I think we nailed it. Most of these are repeats, so... Okay, I think we're going to wrap up the stream here. Hopefully we answered some of your guys' questions. We will do character intros again at the beginning of the next session, which will be next Wednesday, and then we're probably going to go back to Mondays. We just have some people...
depends. The player schedules permitting, yeah.
Yeah, so... Inquisitors were mandated with kidnapping or killing Force-sensitive people. Indeed, and that's why they're interesting. They have to turn them or experiment on them. There's all kinds of evil Imperial plans for Force users, so... All right, guys. If you enjoy the stream, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions that weren't answered, drop a comment in this stream's chat. I'm going to try to get Empire War out today. And I will try to answer those comments as the day goes on. So thank you, Tabby, for hanging out with me.
Yeah, I need to go get some more coffee.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm heading downstairs right now. So, all right, guys, I'll see you in the next stream or video. Later, everybody.
Bye.